Hey, what's up everyone? DJ Sterf here, and I'm going to walk you through 50/20 mode, but this time I'm going to add in my 20/20 strategy improvements. So hopefully this will be a helpful video for a lot of people. If you've been trying to beat 50/20 mode or have in the past, you probably know about my strategy spreadsheet. I've helped a lot of people through 50/20 mode with certain tips and kind of laying it out in spreadsheet form, but I do need to update that, so hopefully by the time you watch this video, I'll have that updated with some of these strategy tips, but this will be more of a visual walkthrough, so I'm going to switch scenes here, and I'm going to play for you. This is a pre-recorded run, but it's between two different emphases that I've been trying to improve upon. So number one, these are not diametrically opposed poles, but they're definitely different emphases. All right, so number one is power efficiency. So ending up with the highest power percentage that you can possibly get, okay? That's taking a lot of risks just to get that. It's being extremely efficient and crisp on your transitions between music box and power generator and letting Phantom Freddy startle you, all that type of stuff. Risks that you have to take to get the most power. And there's still things that I could do. I did take a break from that, and I went over to, when Matt Pat asked me to be part of that St. Jude charity stream, reliability. I wanted to have as reliable a chance of beating 50/20 as I possibly could. And so I've gotten the time per win down quite a bit. And if people say, hey, 50/20 mode is the hardest mode on Five Nights at Freddy's in the whole series, I would probably agree to an extent, because skill-wise, yeah, there's a lot of learning curve and ramp to get up to the skill level to beat 50/20 mode. No other game in the series is like this one, for sure. But once you're to that level, it becomes much more reliable past that point to get wins. So when I was practicing for the St. Jude charity stream, I was getting 1 win a day, and then I would just stop. And I saw the time go down from like 4 hours to 2 hours to 1 hour to 40 minutes. I did have some days where first run was a win, and other days I would win in 11 minutes, or would win just after the stream ended, or I should say our segment ended. That one hurt. But anyway, yeah, it's much more reliable now, but let me get to some of those tips. And yeah, I have some more tips past where I am now that would make it more reliable as well. So we'll cover that as we go along. All right, so the easiest way to access 50/20 mode is to click the Set All 20 button. You can adjust all the animatronics individually up to 20 if you want, but that's really inefficient. One nice part about 50/20 mode is that if you're not quite there yet, but you're close and you want to practice 49/20 mode, you just click that Set All 20 button, and then you can get rid of one, or if you want to play 48/20, you can get rid of a few of these just to practice up, and then later on add some of the other tricky ones to get 50/20 mode. 50/20 mode is a little bit of a misnomer because, yeah, you see the point value starts at 10,000, but if you actually win the night, 10,600 is the point total that you get. There's 6 animatronics that one other animatronic called XOR. I guess you could call that animatronic exclusive OR if you really want. But Scott said he didn't know why he named that animatronic XOR. But anyway, I mean, if you're into logic and math and programming, you've probably heard of XOR, the exclusive OR. So anyway, exclusive OR comes in and then brings in 6 animatronics at 10 AI apiece. So you have points, 10 points, multiplicand here. And so you have 1,000 total points on the board, and then 10 points per point, or per AI point, I should say. So it's 10,000, and then you get an extra 600. So 6 animatronics at 10 AI. So you multiply that by 10, so you get 60 times 10 is 600 extra points, all right? I think you understand that. Okay, cool. Another thing to consider is the office that you choose. You have 4 possible offices that you can play in. Interestingly, the first one, you don't have to unlock at all, but you can, every blue moon, access another office randomly. And it's kind of annoying if you're trying to win in Office 1, the default Ultimate Custom Made office, because, yeah, you play, you start the night, you're like, yeah, I got Office 1 selected, then it turns out, oh no, it's a sister location office this time. And then, maybe 10 times down the road, or like 25 times down the road, you're like, oh, it's the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 office. And it's like, I didn't want that office. But anyway, if you haven't unlocked those offices, then you can get those. I think that was the Easter egg. Like, hey, you can check out these other offices while you don't have the points to unlock them yet. But once you have the points, I wish that would go away. I want to select that office. So anyway, Office 1 is really nicely designed. I really like the design of the office. It's nice looking, all that. It's not the most bright, but it's probably the second brightest of the bunch. The problem I have with Office 1 is that Helpy often gets caught behind Scrap Baby's head. And I guess you could see just a tiny bit of Helpy's cheek, but you need to see Helpy as much as you can when everyone else is in the way. If you scroll to the right side of the screen, yeah, you can see Helpy. But if you're on the left side of the screen, you can barely see Helpy behind Scrap Baby's big old head if Scrap Baby's there. So that's problematic. If you keep getting air horned, or you get air horned enough that you have to turn off the power generator for a while, then you're losing efficiency there, okay? Office 2, I think, is the worst of the bunch. That's its sister location office. That one is just, it's so dim. It's a nice looking office again, it's so dim. And so when you're losing ventilation, you don't know exactly when you have just a little bit of air and when you are just completely out. And by that time, it's, I don't know, you're probably going to flip earlier than you're going to need to with that office in comparison with some of the other ones. Okay, that's the second one. Also, Helpy is not in a great position with Nightmare On and Scrap Baby on that one. That one is my least favorite office, but I don't know, it's not for a bad design, you know? Five Nights at Freddy's 3 office, I've used that the most lately, mostly because most people use Five Nights at Freddy's 4 office, so the fourth office. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 office is still dim, but the position of Helpy is up a little bit, so Scrap Baby's not in the way, as well as Nightmare On. You have just a little bit of space there between Nightmare On's head and Helpy. All right. One problem does come in if you're playing a little more risky and letting Phantom Freddy startle you and shutting that mid vent while that happens. Yeah, you can't see Helpy behind a full out Phantom Freddy. Okay, so you could get air horned because of Phantom Freddy on Office 3. So that's the one caution with Office 3 that I have. Office 4 is definitely, I would say, the best office, and most people play Ultimate Custom Night in that office. You do have to score 8,000 points to unlock that office, but that should be pretty straightforward if you're trying to beat 50-20. So my advice is, and what I did on this save, I deleted all the data on the save when I went back to Ultimate Custom Night in 2020, and then the first thing I did was I just played 40-20 and got 8,000 points. Got all the offices. Okay, cool. I have options. That's pretty neat. All right, so Office 4 is the brightest of the bunch. Helpy is out, up to the left, out of the way, so Scrap Baby's never a problem there with Helpy position. Nightmare On is there, but Phantom Freddy is to the right, so it's the best layout and the best brightness. You can see a little more graduality, or there's more of a gradual dimming, and you can tell when you really need to flip. You can get those extra, tenths of a second or second or two or whatever, that you're like, okay, I still have air. Okay, now flip, that type of thing. Okay, so you want to flip as little as possible toward the end of the night, and that's a good office if you're trying to beat the mode for the first time. That's a great office to choose. Okay, so anyway, after that, you do have the option to choose power-ups. The 3 power-ups, you can add 2% power, so it's just a plus 2%. You can choose frigid, which brings the office starting temperature down to 50 instead of 60. That just gives you 5 extra seconds that you don't have to run the fan, and or you can even less time with power AC, but power AC you can't run with a power generator, so it's not quite as efficient. Anyway, that gives you a tiny bit of an advantage. The other one is plus 3 coins. Plus 3 coins is a huge advantage. That can lead to you going over to Cam 4 an extra time and just rattling off a music box recharge, because you don't have to worry about getting a bunch of coins up front. But anyway, let's get to the actual night. And interestingly, some of the strategy additions that I have from 2020 definitely add to the efficiency in collecting coins. As my drawing pad is disconnecting and reconnecting. Why are you doing this? 2 other logistical matters that you should consider. 1, your display settings. So if you have a setup kind of like I do, you might have multiple monitors. So we're going to have here, I have 3 monitors running, and Ultimate Custom Night is running on a stretched resolution up to 4K on this monitor right here. But if I have all 3 monitors enabled, it's a little bit of a pain, because if I'm doing a ventilation reset and then I get out of the cameras, put on my mask and go over this side of the screen, try to end up here so I don't get Nightmare On, well, I can just go over a little bit further with a little bit of a cavalier mouse movement, so if I don't stop in time and end up on this monitor. Well, that means that I don't end up on this side of the screen. It kind of disorients me a little bit. It's a little bit jittery if I miss, staying on that one screen. So I actually just have this monitor disabled right here. Multi-monitor is kind of a pain either way. If you're trying to go over to the right side of the screen and you're going to try to reset ventilation, so you line up your mouse ready to go and you accidentally go on this side of the screen, yeah, you can end up again with a little bit of a jitter. So it's a little bit disorienting to have multi-monitor with this game enabled. But I have this one enabled because I have to have OBS over here and I want to be able to see the preview. I don't want to have that under the game and that type of thing. Make sure that it's recording especially, and that my audio levels aren't insane. So anyway, I have this one enabled on the right and this one enabled so I can actually play the game. But if you're running into problems with not having your mouse go exactly where you want, to try to cool down Nightmare on especially, then, I mean, you can, yeah, or, to avoid the disorientation of the jitter going on, yeah, you can just enable that one monitor. But I don't know, you can have 3 monitors, but you just, yeah, I just want to be on the edge of the screen when I do that quick mask flip and over to the edge, and then be there. That's where I want to be, and have the screen scroll over to the left. That's what I want to see. So a little bit of familiarity there, but that's one logistical thing that you might not think right away about, like the eraser being that large. That's cool. Okay. The other thing is your mouse DPI settings. So dots per inch. All right, you need to make sure that your mouse is moving at a comfortable speed and that you're able to click precisely. There, I try not to split an infinitive. Cool, yay, grammar time. The DPI settings are pretty important if you're gonna have precision movements and clicks. So just make sure your mouse is comfortable and that it's not getting hung up on, the keyboard or whatever. If you have a wireless mouse, make sure you don't have too much lag that it's gonna delay your movement so much. But anyway, I'm running with a Logitech G900 mouse now. I used to run with a Logitech G9X mouse, but I mean that thing was like, it was at least 10 years old. I think it was right at. It might have been, yeah, it might have been slightly more than 10. It lasted a really long time and it was a really great mouse, but I had to replace it. The wires kept getting frayed, and I was afraid that I had to get rid of it. So. This next part is going to be done in slow motion because I do a lot of actions very quickly and I want to be able to pause the video and explain the rationale behind each one of these actions. All right, some of these are optional. Most of them you're going to want to do, but anyway, I'll explain those as I go along, all right? So first thing you want to do is you're going to go to the cameras. So that's just pressing 1S space. Uh-oh, you got 2 animatronics to worry about. You have Phantom BB and Phantom Mangle. So what do you do about that? So you have Phantom BB. Well, if you change cameras, you can get rid of Phantom BB, or if you change to a non-camera mode, then yeah, you can get rid of Phantom BB that way. So that's one thing, and then behind Phantom BB, you have Phantom Mangle. Phantom Mangle, you have to change one of the systems. So yeah, I'm just going to change over to duct system and take care of them both. All right, first thing I want to do when I'm in the duct system is I want to place the audio lure. So let's go to that part. Get rid of that. There we go. Okay. And here we go. Next thing, duct system. And I guess I'm trying to get a good frame here. Let's see. That's a little too far. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So each one of these triangles flicker very fast. So sometimes if you pause the video, you won't see the triangles. Interestingly, there are three animatronics that can spawn on this side over here. All right. You'll see next time I get to the duct system, you'll see Orville, because Orville pops up here. You can have someone pop up here, here, here. I mean, any of these spots, or here. I think there's one over here possible as well. So like any of these spots are possible locations for the spawns of each one of the duct animatronics. But you're going to see the same duct animatronics on each side as you start. The heater can change that. Sometimes the heater flips which side they spawn on, but you're going to have Orville, you're going to have Ned, and you're going to have Mr. Hippo on this side. And over here, you're going to have Happy Frog and Pig Patch. All right, so that leads to an issue with Happy Frog, because Happy Frog is not affected by the heater at all. All the other ones are, but Happy Frog has a very fast route over here to the open vent. So you're going to need to put the audio lure somewhere around here. You're going to want to cover all three of these junctures. This click right here was fine, I guess right here, because it covers this right here, this juncture. You're going to want to have that covered just so Happy Frog doesn't go there. Because Orville and Ned, they're your two main threats throughout the night from the vents after you set the audio lure. Because they spawn on this side normally, they will often just go down here and then they have to backtrack quite a bit. So it might be a while before they get to the open vent. It's not a guarantee because Orville and Ned, I've seen them pop up at about 19 seconds over at the open vent. So there's still a chance that they're going to just, you know, fast track it over here, make a beeline to the open vent. So that's always a possibility. If you really want to be safe about that, you can use the heater. I actually don't, because I'm flipping so fast that it's rare that they'll actually register that they're at the vent by the time I'm done. So fast flips help with the duct animatronics, but you are improving your chances dramatically by putting the audio lure right here on this juncture. All right. You can switch the ducts if you want, but I don't know why you would, because your main threat's here. There's a decent chance they're going to go this route instead of to this already defaulted open duct. All right. And I hope I said open duct. I get confused when I'm talking about this, but these are the duct animatronics, all right? And not the duck animatronics. They don't quack. Anyway, so that is that part right there. So that's going to be the first chunk of what I do here. I'm actually going to set the audio lure, then exit the camera. And that's really it. Okay, so let's continue. Okay. So you notice Golden Freddy was there, and I popped down the mask. Golden Freddy, you either have to check the camera again really quickly or flip down the mask. It's much better to flip down the mask on average on a normal occurrence, because you also might have Nightmare BB standing up and looking at you, and you have to flash Nightmare BB. So you don't want to just like casually flip the camera and hope that Nightmare BB isn't there. So mask flip is fine. Just kind of get used to that muscle memory. So I guess if you're resetting ventilation, you're going to be like around this area right here. It's a little hard to see because I'm not actually on the screen. But you would reset ventilation. You would go out of the cameras and you kind of make this like motion like that. All right, and you're going to end up over here in an ideal world. So you're going to pop down that mask, get out of there, and the reason for that is Nightmarion can spawn right here and be very mad. You just want to avoid being like in this area right here, and sometimes Nightmarion will show up and kind of like slow fade in, slow burn over where the mask is. It's very annoying. But anyway, you want to avoid Nightmarion. By doing that, just get used to this kind of motion here. So kind of like just bounce over there. You don't want to miss and hit the camera again, because then you might run into Nightmare BB. If Nightmare BB were standing up and I did that, then yeah, that would be a game over. So if Nightmare BB is standing up, before you do the next camera flip, just make sure you flash Nightmare BB. But Nightmare BB is slouched over right now, so I don't want to flash. If I do, I would get a jump scare. It would be game over as well. All right. Rockstar Freddy later in the night will probably ask for 5 coins. And just, yeah, you can either use heater to short circuit Rockstar Freddy, or you can pay him 5 coins as he asks for 5 coins. Oh, man, I refer to Rockstar Freddy as Apollo Greed semi-affectionately. He's a cool animatronic, but yeah, certainly greedy. Ruins some of your runs if you don't get the heater done in time or have the coins, and yeah, I don't know. The heater sometimes will take forever to short circuit Rockstar Freddy. Sometimes it's instant, but it's just a random, just like a lot of this game. All right. Also, you see Phantom Freddy fading in. You can let Phantom Freddy jump scare you, or I should say startle you. It's not a game over unless someone is in the vent ready to go. If Mangle is in the vent at the vent opening and Phantom Freddy startles you and you don't close the vent within about 200 milliseconds, then you'll see Mangle in the office. But if Springtrap, Molten Freddy are entered, if any of those are in the vent like at the opening and you get startled by Phantom Freddy, you have game over. That ends the game. But Phantom Freddy doesn't end the night unless there's another threat that does. So I think I get my point across with that. But in order to save power on some of these efficiency runs, you just let Phantom Freddy startle you, and then you shut the mid vent with W right as the jump scare is going on. You got about 200 milliseconds or so. It's pretty fast. It's a quick react. But if you're doing something else, like if OMC, if Old Man Consequences is over here, like, hey, catch a fish, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I caught a fish, and then Phantom Freddy's like, whoosh, then that's gonna be the end of the night if someone's at the vent there. All right. So those are the ones in the office right now. We will get to Bonnie and Foxy. You see Bonnie on the table right here. I will get to that in a second. You also see the wet floor sign. Sometimes you do have to deal with the wet floor sign. I will get to that as well. Okay, so I'm going to try to cover everything here. We'll get to that, just giving you a heads up, okay? Another thing to note as well, you might have someone in the vent over here, the F side vent. Press F for closing it on BB or JJ. That's one thing you have to check up front. I do that first audio allure part so fast that I try to get out of the cameras before I actually close that side vent. So before I close F, you can check the camera and then hit F immediately, and then within about half a second or so, you'll either hear a thud or not. If you hear the thud, then you've gotten rid of either BB or JJ in that side vent. And that's one thing I do in other checks. If it's going to be a long time to check, or like if I'm trying to get coins, or if I'm trying to figure out which camera Mr. Hugs is on, we'll get to that part, then I will hit F when I'm in the cameras. It does waste a little more power, but it gets rid of your threat of not being able to shine a light or close the door. All right, or close a side door or W. All right, cool. Or F too, yeah. All of those doors. So either lights or doors, or both. Actually, I've had a case where I've had both of them out at the same time, and it's just kind of like, I mean, shrug, let me wait. Okay, so that's a problem if that happens right before Ballora shows up, and then you can't close the door. Then that's game over as well. All right, I think I've covered that part. Cool, that's a good clip. Let's save that, and let's cover the next part. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is an optional step, but I'll explain why I do this. All right, so I'm going to go to the vent system, and that's an awful frame to pause on. Let's see, that's a little better, I guess. What I want to do, and you heard me hit F, and I close that side vent, and you heard the thud. That gets rid of either BB or JJ, and that gets rid of them as a threat. But I'm on the vent system now, so this is the second part, optional part, but the reason I'm going to put a vent snare here, so you're going to see me place a vent snare here, is if Mangle wants to take a short trip over here, yeah, you get a free coin, then that sends Mangle back to the start, and then Mangle can do the same thing or take a longer route. But if Mangle goes the mid route, so if Mangle goes this way, about 33 or 35 seconds or something, you can expect Mangle might be waiting around. If Mangle goes the long route, it's usually not a problem for keeping the vent open during the death coin part. And this is just for, I guess, two reasons here. So one, you have the coin that you can get from it if Mangle hits the vent snare, and then two, the power savings. So power plus. Yeah, pretty cool. I keep clicking there. Getting used to the tablet here. But those are the two reasons that I placed this here. You might also note that it's 2.8 seconds in right now. I'm going to keep playing, and let's see. Let's erase this so you don't have to see this. But that's the reason I go and set that vent snare. Here we go. All right. So I set the vent snare, and I clicked on a new challenger. And, I mean, Helpy's been there the whole time. But Helpy. Nice on the third office that Helpy is over here as opposed to, like, here or here, like offices 1 and 2. Yeah, that's a problem when Helpy's over there behind Scrap Baby's head. Scrap Baby hasn't shown up yet. But anyway, Helpy can give you an extra coin. So if you're thinking of who can give you coins, all right? So you have BB, You have JJ. I like the double caps on the JJ. It's almost like you got pie. But all right, so you have BB and JJ who can give you coins. You also have Helpy. Well, that's not it. That's not it. So you have 1, 2, and 3. But if you look at the camera, or look at the time right now, I'm about to go to the cameras because it's about to hit 5.0. So if you have a timeline here, so this is 0, and you have 5 seconds, 10 seconds, all right, 15, all that. Well, if you have the cameras up and loaded, so you have a frame open at 5.0, you have a chance for the two bears at the doors, not Freddy, but the other 2 bears at the doors. So you have Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear. Nightmare Fredbear. All right, so these 2 at 5.0 multiples. All right, at 5.0 multiples with cameras up. All right. So you get what I'm saying, right? If the cameras are up, you have a shot of these 2 spawning at the doors. The interesting thing, though, is unless you get rid of them with the cameras up, within 3.3 seconds, you'll get a jump scare. So even if you're in the process of having the door like fall down, yeah, you'll still get a jump scare if you hit 8.3, if they show up at 5.0. An interesting predicament happens when Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear show up at the doors at the same time. Yeah, that's problematic because if you shut both doors, if you just hit AD and then that's it, you're going to see your coins are only going to go up +1, even though you've shut out 2 animatronics. So what I do to get 2 coins out of it is just what I call a gallop. So instead of hitting AD and then wait and then, you know, DA or AD, either way, you can do either way on that. Well, I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to go A, and then wait a little bit, and then A, and then I'm going to wait a little bit, and then D, and then D. All right, so this guarantees you get a coin here from the left side, and then over here you're going to get a coin from the right side. So you end up with +1 and +1, and you get +2 coins instead of just +1. I think that's a glaring bug, but it's been known for a while. But if you shut the doors on the bears at the same time, you're going to hear one large thud, and you're only going to get a +1 for the coins. So yeah, just do like A, D, D. All right, that's how I kind of gallop through to get the extra coin, the coin that I should be getting anyway. All right, it does take a little more power, I guess, but not much, you know. I guess, you know, closing A and D at the same time would use 2 blocks as opposed to 1. So maybe not actually. It's probably better to A, D, D. All right, cool. So that's galloping through that. So all of those can get you coins, as well as you always have the option of getting camera coins. So cam coins. I'll put it with a Z as well. Bonnie's like, yeah, I like those cam coins. Yeah. It's so hard looking at this screen. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I got those cam coins, right, Bonnie? Yeah. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to try to get to the cameras by about 4.8 so I can get a 5.0 option for Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear, all right? So that's going to be the next step. All right, I got to erase all this. All right, here we go. And just clarifying as well, if you're on the cameras at 10.0 and 15.0, and this continues on for every 5.0 second multiple, you do have a shot of getting Nightmare or Nightmare Fredbear at the doors, all right? So just pay attention to that. You'll hear the laughs. And yeah, one other thing with Helpy as well, you have about 7 seconds on AI 20, so about 7.0 seconds to respond. And yeah, so this part was galloping. Okay, cool. Sweet! I think I have the bases covered there. Sweet. All right, next part. This next clip's going to have a lot more gameplay, so I'm going to let it run a little bit more. So let me tell you beforehand what's going to happen. At 5.0, I want to be on the cameras with the frame loaded so that I have a chance of getting Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear at the doors. And if that's the case, then I have options of getting coins. If both show up, I'm going to do the Gallop, and then I'm going to try to get 2 coins from that. I'm going to go to Cam 8. That's going to be the main purpose of this cam check. It's going to be a little bit longer, And when I go to cam 8, I'm going to try to shut the door on Mr. Hugs. There's a possibility of you getting a balloon in your face, so basically Mr. Can Do up there blocking your view. Well, if you get out of the cameras and wait until the next 5.0 second multiple intersection, then after that point you have a chance of not seeing Mr. Can Do there again. So if you don't want to deal with Mr. Can Do, you can get out of the cameras really quickly and then come back after 10.0. In this case, Mr. Can Do is on cam 1, so that's actually good, and you can see cam 8 very clearly. There's a process of elimination. The camera is already on cam 8 on one of the cameras, all right? And if Mr. Hugs is not at that camera, you have one of the other options. It's either going to be if cam 1 is highlighted, then you have cam 2 or cam 3 that Mr. Hugs is going to be on. If you check one more camera, you're either going to see Mr. Hugs, or you can click on closing the door on the other camera that it's not right then. So it's just a process of elimination. So you have one click to close the door on Mr. Hugs if Mr. Hugs is on that camera that it's defaulted to, or one camera change and one closure max if not. Okay. You also notice Bonnie's on the table. I do check cam 5 here. I don't know. You want to check the camera on. You want to check camera 5 if Foxy is on the table. So you just do a quick flip over. I do a click on cam 5 and then back to cam 8 because I'm trying to stall out Toy Freddy a little bit as well. And anyway, let's see this clip. I'll explain more as I go along. Here we go. All right. So you see Old Man Consequences there. I got rid of him by tapping C a bunch. I did the gallop on the bears. I'm out of the cameras now, and it's 9.5. I'm going to click on Helpy, so I did the mask. You also see Freddles there. You're going to want to flash the light to get rid of the Freddles. So that's going to be Z. You're going to get rid of the Freddles that way. Sometimes it takes longer than usual. You don't have to get rid of them all the way, but it's a good idea not to let them build up so much that if on a longer check, you're going to have a Nightmare Freddy jump scare. Okay? So I'm going to click on Helpy here, and you notice that Nightmare BB is standing up with the teeth out. So you want to flash Nightmare BB so you can like kind of slide across, use that flashlight, get rid of that, and then you're going to go back to the cameras, all right? Unfortunately, I don't get back to the cameras at 10.0 this time, so I'm not going to have another chance for one of the bears to show up at those side doors at that juncture, so you're going to have a few less coin possibilities from them there. But I'm already close to 10, so with the Helpy click, it's going to be 8, and then if there's someone in event, the next check through, you're already at 9. That's very quick for the coins, so I'm actually fine with that. You're also going to see an L-chip ad. You can hit enter at every 10.0 multiple if you see it. If you're looking at the timer and you're like, oh, let me just spam enter, and then you get rid of the ad, okay? So C, spam that for Old Man Consequence, and E, enter rather, for L-chip. All right, lots of stuff going on. All right, so Foxy's on the table. I definitely want to go back and check the camera. I don't know if the Bonnie check actually does anything, any benefit, but anyway, if Foxy's on the table, I try to check cam 5 really quick, and that hopefully will stall out Foxy enough that he's not a threat late in the night. All right, here we go. All right, you notice here, all right, a few things. I'm going to get out of the cameras by 13.0. I got to get out at like 12.9 at latest. So here we go. All right, so I just did a quick Foxy check, and I went to the other camera. I picked up a camera on the coin. You notice I'm already at 10 coins. I'm not even 13 seconds through the night, and I'm already well off enough that I can get the death coin if I want, okay? I want to be out of the camera by 13.0, and this is why. So you notice here, it's 12.9. I'm in the office. I'm done with that check. You also saw XOR over here. XOR spawns in the 6 Secret Animatronics overtime, and that's a good thing that XOR is early. I believe that XOR spawns at the 10-second mark because I've died at 10.0, and usually things stop processing at that point, but then I'll hear the XOR noise like 1 second down the road. So you'll probably see XOR at like 11 point something or 11.0. We've always said 11 or 16 or whatever. But anyway, so like 15 or 16 as well, that's also an early occurrence for XOR. You can have XOR show up later, and that gets to be problematic down the road if you get past a certain point. It's actually not a winnable run if XOR shows up past 40 or 41 seconds, all right? And I say 40 or 41 because I think the actual action that checks and says, oh, hey, yeah, spawn in XOR, it'll take a second for XOR to spawn in and actually do stuff, all right? And later on, it'll spawn in the animatronics, so it's even later than that, okay? I'll get to the secret animatronics later, but just know that if XOR doesn't spawn by 40 or 41 seconds, then on this route, it's not winnable. So I'll just put a frowny face. How's that? Okay. So if you watch the St. Jude charity stream, yeah, I had one run where XOR showed up at 50 or 51, and that was the end, because you won't have time to get rid of plush trap in time for you to get on camera 2 by 1 minute 5 seconds. All right, that's why. But one of the plushies is going to get you if you're not on cam 2 by 1:05. You can buy the plushie, and that is an option that can be done, but it's 20 coins and it's a totally different route. In terms of ease of getting a win on 50-20, this is an easier route and much more reliable. So just going with this. All right, here we go. Because the more coins you get and the more you're in the cameras and all that, the more you run into risk of Toy Freddy and I mean, anyone else you've angered, that type of thing. But anyway, okay, so I'm in the office at 12.9. The reason is, so if I have a timeline here, let's make it a little wider than the last one. So 13.0 is a pretty critical juncture, because at this point, you can have Withered Bonnie or Rockstar Bonnie spawn in, and that's always a problem. Withered Bonnie is annoying because you have to get your mask down very quickly, so you got to get out of the cameras. You'll know it. It'll dim the cameras really badly if you're at 13.0 and Withered Bonnie shows up. It's not a guarantee that they'll show up, and sometimes it's one or the other, but maybe it's like a 2 out of 3 would be my guess in terms of the odds for that. But anyway, so Withered Bonnie, Rockstar Bonnie can show up. Rockstar Bonnie you actually can combat, but it's easier early on in the night. If you are stuck on a camera with a plushie, you're stuck on cam 2, you have to hope that the guitar is on cam 2. I'll get to Rockstar Bonnie strategy later. It's actually kind of a rectangle, so you're going to check for cameras for the guitar. But anyway, we'll cover that in a little bit. But anyway, if you're on the cameras at 13.0 or 26.0 ... So 39 and 52 are also very important to avoid, and a minute 5 actually too. Yeah, if you avoid those altogether, you will not see Withered Bonnie or Rockstar Bonnie. And later on in the night, you're gonna have to calculate out, like if you're trying to no death coin run and you're on the cameras at 223.0, that was a bad 223. If you're on the cameras at 223.0, then you have a chance of getting Withered Bonnie or Rockstar Bonnie as well. So yeah, this one right here, it turns out that it's 143, which is 13 times 11. So yeah, you don't want to be on the camera at 223. You just calculate out what 13.0 multiples are, and you don't want to be on the cameras at that point. It's not a likelihood that you'll be on the cameras at those moments late in the night, but if you're trying to get coins and you're early on in the night, 13.0 and 26.0 are usually things to avoid. So this is if you need a bunch of coins, and this right here is if you get a little bit too eager and you're trying to buy a death coin, and sometimes you'll miss the click or whatever, or if everything's static because of Bonnie or Ballora or something like that. Yeah, you can be on the cameras late. I guess Ballora wouldn't be a factor at 26.0. That would be more like 30 or 28 to 30 or something like that. But anyway, you don't want to be on the cameras at these points if at all possible. You can salvage it sometimes, but not all the time. All right. Another thing to note is that you're nearing 15 seconds right now, and that brings up another dynamic entirely. So let's draw a long timeline here. All right. So you have 0.0, 15.0, 30.0, 45.0, and this is not to scale. So, all right, 1 minute, 0.0, all that. 115.0, ... All right. This goes on through the whole night, through 4:30.0. The first thing that you did was you used 1s space, and that will turn on the power generator. Power generator shuts off music box. So you have a charge of about 16.8 seconds. So if you're here, it's like this area right here, 16.8. Then you have no charge on your music box if you don't swap back to music box. So you got to swap back to music box before this point. Ideally, you're going to have the music box on before every 15.0 multiple. All right. So think of it like you have the music box on at 14.9. 14.9, and really realistically maybe more like 14.5. You're going to want to have the music on through 30.1. That's going to recharge the music box enough for you to go to 45.0. But in order to be safe, like maybe change this right here to like 14.5 or 14, and then 30.5 or 31. Any one of those are acceptable. You're going to want to have your music box on a tiny bit more than your power generator. So think of it as like a 51-49 split. 51 music box, 49 power generator. So you're going to have music box on here, and it's going to stay on until right after 30. All right, so this is your music box time. All right, and then it's going to go over through like 30.5 or 31 or whatever you want right after 30. All right, next thing you're going to want to do is have your power generator on. So you have 1 over here for power generator, then you have your music box on, 5, and then you're going to have your power generator on again during this block, and then at like 44 point something, you're going to have your music box on again. All right, why am I doing this? I wonder. Because there's another animatronic involved. That's Chica. So with Chica, you're going to want to try to keep Chica happy. And if you have your global music box running at every 15.0 multiple, then you avoid ever getting Chica angry. All right, so if the music box is on at 15.0 and at 30.0 and at 45.0 and at 1 minute, yeah, you're going to avoid having Chica get angry. You're taking a chance if you don't have the music box on through that time. Just remember, the lion's share goes to the music box, and that takes care of the marionette. So you're going to increase the charge by having it on this long, but by having the music box on at 15.0 and 30.0, there's a check, and it's like, okay, well, is the music box on? And if not, then, well, there's a chance that Chica could get mad. If Chica does get mad on 50-20 mode, you're probably not going to have time to go to cam 4 and change the music. Also note that with Chica, there's a dead spot in the audio file, so it makes it really annoying. Sometimes you think that Chica's not happy, there's no pots and pans sound, or there's a lot of other noise going on you can't hear. Then you change the music, and it's like, well, actually Chica was still happy, so changing the music ends the night. So anyway, with 50-20 mode, Chica, if you don't check the camera on X.0 or X.5 when she's mad, you're not going to get a jump scare. And I'm pretty sure that's across the board. The same is true with some of the other animatronics, and I'll get to those later. I think the obvious one you probably already know, Toy Freddy. So you want to be quick with your camera checks past all the death coin parts, but it's not really realistic to do while you're still gathering coins. So anyway, you want to have your music box on before every uncharged alternating portion of the night, and have it on after the next 15.0 transition. All right, you're going to want to have the music box running through every one of the 15.0 multiples. All right, so it's true with 130.0 and all that. So let's just say you had a 15-second chunk of time where you ran the power generator, and you're going to want the next 15-second segment after the current one to be power generator again. Well, you can do something called a block swap. So what's the block swap? Well, if you think of it as an 8-7 split block swap, you are turning a block of 15 seconds into about 8 seconds of music box and about 7 seconds of power generator. All right, and why is that? Well, you don't want to run out of charge on your music box. Sometimes I do a block swap just to be more comfortable with the actual thing running during this 15-second block of time. So say I want music box running here, but I just ran power generator. All right. So down the road I want music box in the next block of 15, but I'm right here. I just used power generator, and I have to turn on music box. All right. So music box is running now. Well, if I want to do an 8-7 split, basically give the music box about 8 seconds of charge, and then you turn on power generator here, run about 7 seconds. Then you're going to turn on music box again right before the 15 mark, and you'll have music box running through the next segment. All right, you still want to overlap those 15 transitions, so that's why I say 8-7 split. The lion's share is given to the music box, so you have 8 seconds of charge, and by the end of this right here, you're going to have basically 1 second of charge left if you're doing really tight transitions here. and then you run the music box again, and you should be good. All right. You can do another thing where if you think your music box is wound up way too much, or you ran it too long or too far past this boundary, you can carve out a 1 or 2 second block and then run power generator here. So this is basically like a power generator compensation here. I wouldn't recommend that too much. That usually just means you need to tighten up the transitions when you actually have to go through them. But I mean, if you have all sorts of stuff going on and you know, you don't react in time to do a really tight transition, I don't know. Yeah, you can go about that route that way, but you just want to be sure that music box has charge. But anyway, I call this a block swap. So instead of having a normal scenario where you would have power generator and then you'd have the 15-second mark, you'd have music box all the way through the next one. I think you see the difference now. Music box. Then you have the 15-second mark, then you swap back to power generator. So instead of having a set like this, you do a block swapped where, yeah, you just change back over and then you run music box again. So that's a block swap. So why use the power generator? Isn't that just an irritant for Music Man and Lefty? Well, it kind of is, but if you're juggling blocks between power generator and music box, or even power generator plus fan, which I usually run everything except for that first power generator block, because I need to cool that office down still. If you're juggling that with music box, you're not going to have the effect of irritating Music Man. Basically, the music box block is undoing the noise annoyances that the power generator block or power generator plus fan block is accomplishing. All right. You can run into issues if you let Phantom Mangle in your office for that brief period of time, or if Helpy air horns you, or if Mangle is in your office the rest of the night. That can add to the problem, and then you won't be able to run power generator as much, but that's what you want to avoid. Or if you miss a phone call, that's the same thing. It adds to the noise value. Or let lolbit run for a while. All right, you get my drift. The night starts with fan on as the default, so you have 1 block of power being used. I think there's a little bit of power drain before the timer actually shows up, which is a big pain because, yeah, my numbers line up with that, and I think that is not necessarily the most fair. It should start at 0.0. Anyway, if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure because my numbers line up with this. So anyway, here we go. 1% of power is going to be used every 3 seconds at 1 block of power. So you're going to lose 10% every 30 seconds. You're going to use 90% power if you average 1 block of power exactly throughout the night. And you will not fail if you average 1 block of power. But if you have a scenario, let's say we're not using the fan, but we are using music box. So you have music box. Music box, you're at 1 block of power. But then you have to go to the cameras. You're going to do a death coin sequence. All right. We're at 2 blocks of power with the camera. All right. Well, what if we hear Afton attack, or we want to shut out BB or JJ? Well, the F vent can bring that up to 3 blocks of power. But what if it's later in the night, XOR showed up late, and you have to shut W as well? Well, you're at 4 blocks of power. So it adds up quickly. I think you catch my drift on that one too. But the default is 1, and you can have all sorts of additions to your blocks of power. The worst being 6 if you don't have power generator on, you have the fan running or heater or power AC. You're in the cameras and you shut A, W, D, and F. Yeah, you're using 6 blocks of power. Your meter will be full. It'll blink like an angry reddish orange, and you will lose 118.11% power in 30 seconds. And you're going to die out at about 25 seconds, all right? I actually had 25.2, I think. Yeah, 25.2 seconds, but it's probably 25. It's just the tenths of a second it took me to get everything on here. It was probably running at 1 block of power for a few tenths of a second, which prevents me from ending right at 25. So that's why I'm thinking there's probably a 1 block of power starting and a little bit of drain beforehand. You'll see that in the other tiers as well. So anyway, we'll get to that. But yeah, you're gonna lose very fast with an exorbitant amount of blocks of power usage running. All right. Let's talk about some realistic ones though. What if you have nothing running? What if you're just like, I just want to save power, but I don't want to run power generator? All right, you're going to lose about 2.5% of your power in 30 seconds. which basically is 1% every 12 seconds. That's really nice. You're not going to fail this either. Well, what about 2 blocks of power? Because then it gets real. Just like Five Nights at Freddy's phone guy would have said, it gets real. All right. You're going to burn through 22.22% of your power every 30 seconds. So the time of failure for 2 blocks of power is going to be right about the 215 mark. I actually had it at 214.x, so that's why I think there's a little bit of power drain. It was like 214.8 or something like that, so it's pretty close to 215. So 135 seconds and 100% power drained. That's about 22.22% in 30 seconds. So that's a good way of detecting how you're doing with power. Take a small subset and then translate that to a larger population. All right, 3 blocks of power. You are going to burn a lot of power. I have it at 39.33% power used in 30 seconds, which is more than 1 per second. And your time of failure would be about 115.8, somewhere around there. Then at 4 blocks of power, you are using a crazy amount of power, 62% in 30 seconds. And that would be a failure time of about 48.7 seconds. Ouch. And then you have 5 blocks of power where you would burn 88.5% of your power in 30 seconds. And then your failure time would be about 34.1 seconds. So you don't want to use a whole lot of power throughout the whole night. You want to be on the upper side of this, so you're not using a whole lot of power. So how do you combat some of this? Well, if you're running the fan and you're at 1 block of power, if you turn on the power generator, it's only going to burn 2.5% every 30 seconds, so 1% every 12 seconds. That's going to be the effective power generator. So it basically has a -1 power usage block effect on anything you do. If you have nothing running and you have your power generator running, well, then you have -1 essential blocks of power running, because if you have nothing running, there's a slow power leak that goes on, and that's, I guess, the element of the office. But if you have a power generator running and nothing else, you're gonna use 0% of your power. You're never going to fail. You're not even going to use any power, and that's the most efficient that you can be. All right. So if you have periods where you're already at 60 degrees in the office, or even like 65, because I try to cool it down to about 65, and then I'll stop the fan usually, because you don't want to waste power cooling the place when it's already the coolest it can be. Yeah, if you run power generator and that's it, you're just sitting there chilling with no power used. That's pretty cool. So power generator has a -1 effect on whatever is running, and it can save you a lot of power in the long run. So if you're thinking of these blocks of power and all that, yeah, just remember power generator is gonna help you out quite a bit. And when I'm thinking of the time blocks that I'm running, the first one for sure. So if you have 15, 30, 45, all that, all right, 0. I switch off the fan here as fast as I can, and then I go through about 15, you know, plus or minus a tiny bit with just power generator. But you're using all sorts of power going to the cameras, shutting vents, doing all that stuff. So you're going to be using a little bit of power, but power generator takes a lot of the power usage out of that. The first part is a mad dash. This part is the part that you have to worry about with your power usage right here. So one alternative route that you can do is you can go to cam 4 and wind the music box before the music box timer runs out at about 16.8. And you can just extend this power generator block all the way through like 29 or something, and then you're going to want to swap back to music box. But if you don't do that, which is the normal way, you just swap to 5 for music box. So if you have music box, yeah, music box, you're going to be burning 1 block of power at the very least. And if you go to the camera, then you're already at 2. If you shut the vent on BB or JJ, then you have 3, all that. So you get the point. Or if Ballora shows up, then you have to react to that. You have moments where you're going to use more than 1 block of power, for sure. Before the 45, you're going to swap back to power generator. In a perfect world, power generator plus fan, because you got to cool the office down. It's going to warm up, and you don't want to build up heat so Jacko Chica doesn't get you. All right, then you're going to swap back to music box, all that. And you have the option again to go to cam 4. You're risking Toy Freddy by that point, but if you, and also at that point, if you run power generator all the way through like 35, you're going to hear cymbals. So with this going on right here. If you actually don't use music box, you wind the music box and you run power generator through that 30-second mark, you're probably going to hear cymbals, and you'll probably hear cymbals the rest of the night until you have more of the music box draining out that sound energy, unless you click on Rockstar Foxy and click on soundproof, which again is not a very common likelihood, because yeah, Rockstar Foxy's bird, I call that bird me bird because Foxy's like, me bird likes you. Me bird, if you click on me bird at AI 20, after me bird shows up, you have a 1 in 3 chance of having a friendly encounter. It's about a 1 in 3. I did 9,000 plus, like 9,365 iterations of an automation that I made with Rockstar Foxy, and it was about a 34 point something % chance of a friendly encounter with all those trials. And that's about a 1 in 3. It's not quite, but it's pretty close. I don't know what the denominator is, but I have an estimate on another one of my videos. So that was an interesting set of trials, but it at least shows you that there is a chance. So you're saying there's a chance, that type of thing. It's not a 5% chance, it's not a 3% chance, it's not something really low of getting that menu instead of a jump scare. It's about a 1 in 3. So if you want to do that, you can test that. But again, when you're running 50/20, you want to minimize the RNG as much as possible. That's been my policy the whole way through. That's been a way to try to get a reliable win, that type of thing. So yeah, you want to figure out how everything works, how everything interacts, and then find a way through. That's about it. One more thing about the music box as well. The 5149 idea is basically a short and simple way of saying run the music box ever so slightly in the majority versus the power generator / fan, overlap those 15-second transition points, and we can put that on a line here. So we have 0.0 seconds, we'll just go per minute. All right, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and 4 minutes. Then we have half a minute. All right, 4:30. Close enough. All right, we're going to split these into quarters. And every 45 seconds, there's going to be an hour in game on this game. So that's another thing to note. So this is 45 seconds, but it's also 1 a.m. All right, every 15 seconds, I consider that a block. The first block, you're going to swap over to power generator and run it through about 15. Then you're going to change over to music box and give it a little bit of overlap over the 15. Power generator until just before the next one, then music box all the way through the next one. Well, it's going to go all the way like that through the end until you have the power generator running here. Power generator. And actually, you can run them over the 15-second transitions if you're not going to flip again. But anyway, you don't have to worry about Chica if you're not going to flip again or go to the cameras. But anyway, safest to run it before here, so like 414.9, 414.5 or something like that, and that power generator. But then you have no charge on the music box. Like you have like 1 second of charge or something like that. All right. Well, if you run the music box all the way through, then you're just wasting power, because then at the end you have a full music box and you don't need it. So music box would equal 16 seconds at the end of this chunk right here. So again, you could do a block swap here. So you would do music box here and then power generator for the rest of the night. So you can do the trick where you let Old Man Consequences shut the door, or shut the cameras up, and you can't go to the cameras. So you can do a block swap here and then save a little bit of power as well. So let's say you do a block swap at the end, but you've been playing it really safe and have only done 13-second blocks with power generator, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Shout out to Andre 3000. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5 blocks of 13. Wow, that's a lot. You have 130 seconds minus 6.5, so you'd have 123.5 seconds out of 270 seconds used with power generator. That's pretty good, but what if you're really tight on the transitions and you have 14.9 seconds per block? That's really risky. I recommend like 14.5 or something like that, but anyway, if you multiply that by 9.5 blocks there, if you do the block swap at the end, that would be 149 minus 7.45, which would be 141.55 seconds. over 270 seconds for the whole night. That's more than half. So because of this block right here being power generator, you can actually accomplish something where the whole night you have a majority with power generator. But yeah, 135 would be the cutoff there. So if you do, say, let's do 14.4 times 9.5. Let's make sure I'm not writing on my face like I have been most of this video. It'd be 144 minus 7.2, which would be 136.8. That's getting really close to 50%. That's about realistic. So you're going to have a little bit of a majority because of that first block power generator. But the mentality you want to have is run the music box slightly longer than you would the power generator slash fan on the blocks following that. That's where the 5149 idea. It's kind of just it's a ballpark figure. You want to overlap the 15s with the music box and then run the power generator at the other moments, all right? And then remember, you can do the block swap at the end, which kind of throws a monkey wrench into that. So anyway, I guess the 5149 is most accurately done in between this whole range right here, all right? Up until that final block swap, and not including the first power generator big chunk, all right? Cool. That's about it for this one. Hope that was helpful. Cool. But like this would be super duper efficient. And if you're also going to cam 04, cam 4, and manually winding the music box on some of these, yeah, you're going to have even greater power generator usage out of that. So anyway, normal circumstances, yeah, try to get 50-50 overall the whole night with power generator up front and then the block swap at the end. Cool. All right, this next segment should be pretty interesting. I'm going to discuss XOR and all of the animatronics that XOR spawns in. XOR is basically a grayscale version of DD that spawns in 6 secret animatronics. During 50-20 mode, every blue moon you can have XOR show up during a regular random run, but it's pretty rare. 50-20 mode, you're going to get XOR, so let's discuss what happens. So if at 10.0 seconds you have the trigger, next second, 11.0 XOR is going to show up, all right? So in this run right here, XOR shows up early, and you're going to have every 7 seconds after that a new animatronic spawn in. So here you're going to have the first one show up at 18.0. The first one is going to be RWQ FS FAS XC, or Shadow Bonnie. I mean, it's basically a key mash, but I don't know. And I know Five Nights at Freddy's World has RXQ as a shortened form, but I mean, you have a contiguous block of characters there for RWQ, so I always say RWQ for short. I don't even know. Anyway, 18.0, you're going to have RWQ show up, and RWQ leads to a darkened room. All right, darkened room. There you go. So what's the problem with that? Well, you can't tell which doors are open and closed. That's one problem, so you could waste power. So if you forget to open a vent after a camera check, yeah, you're going to waste a lot of power having that door or vent shut. Then you have the issue of Nightmare BB as well, because RWQ stands very close to Nightmare BB, and oftentimes you can't see very clearly whether Nightmare BB is standing up or slouched over. So that's another thing to watch out for in that case. But 18.0, RWQ will spawn in. Then you're going to have here, 7 seconds later, 25.0. You're going to have the second one, Plush Trap, who is the biggest problem of the bunch. All right. And I guess one later is kind of a more of a problem than I'm letting on at this point. But anyway, Plush Trap, as I would still say the biggest problem here. Plush Trap sits on a chair, so sits on chair on cam 6. And what you need to do is you need at some point to go to cam 6 and be on the camera before like 13 to 14 seconds after the appearance of Plush Trap. Otherwise, you're going to get jump scared. If you're on cam 6 already and it's beyond this agitation period, so if you show up at like 42 and you're trying to get rid of Plush Trap, you're going to have to avoid clicking on vent system or duct system, because if you change systems at that point, you're going to get jump scared by Plush Trap as well. So Plush Trap's a real problem. You're going to click on cam systems, and then you're going to click on cam 06 if you're in that situation, all right? But only if you're in that situation. Otherwise, you can just do a quick like vent and then cam or whatever. So you're getting rid of potentially Phantom Mangle and Phantom BB, so you don't get, startled or whatever. Phantom Mangle just adds to a lot of noise, and that can irritate Music Man. And Phantom BB, after you get startled out of the cameras, you're just going to have to flip that mask down so you don't get Golden Freddy'd, all right? All right, so anyway, if you get to Plush Trap and are on the cameras before that agitation period, though, or if you do the cam sys and then cam 6, then you can stay on the camera for about 1.6 to 1.8 seconds. And, whoops, there we go. And then you will get rid of Plush Trap. Plush Trap will scoot over, off of the chair and out of the way, and you'll be done with Plush Trap. And that's it. Okay, so, yeah. Cool, that's number 2. And Plush Trap is a real problem, okay? Third one is Nightmare Chica. So Nightmare Chica is basically Jaws. So that's going to be 32.0 in this case. And note that this is based on an 11.0 second appearance of XOR. If XOR shows up at 41.0, you're just going to add some values to that. Okay, so if yeah, it would be 55.0 for Plush Trap on a 41.0 appearance of XOR. All right. Yeah, I think y'all get that. Nightmare Chica, you're going to run the Power AC, so you get Jaws. To counter Power AC as soon as you can, just be cognizant of your 15.0 multiples, because Music Box and Power Generator, all those transitions are extremely important to watch, all right? And you don't want to let the Music Box run out and drain longer than you want, otherwise that next 15 seconds, the Music Box might run out while you're running the Power Generator. So just keep that in mind, all right? So Power AC, if the jaws are barely down or not even deployed at 32.0 and you're running the Power AC, then you have a very short period to no time of having to worry about that. So basically run your Power AC 32.0 or, yeah, very close to that, or whenever this juncture is based on XOR's appearance. So you see jaws, run the Power AC, the jaws will recede, go back up, and that'll be that. All right. If the jaws come all the way down, you'll be jump scared. And if the jaws are all the way down, basically just a little bit, and you run Power AC, it's going to take a long time. It's going to waste a lot of power to get rid of those jaws. The thing about the Power AC, though, is going to cool the room down, so that's an added benefit to this. It's just, yeah, watch your Music Box, all right? That's the number 1 concern on that. Number 4, you're going to have Bonnet, just making sure here. So Bonnet's going to be called in at 39.0 in this run, but then at like 44.0, you're actually going to see Bonnet. I don't know if that's a random addition of time or whatever, but Bonnet's going to go across the screen, and you're going to boop the nose. Boop nose. All right, boop nose, exclamation point. All right, that's Bonnet. If you don't click on Bonnet's nose or pretty close to and hear that click, then you will get a jump scare, and that stinks. All right, number 5 is going to be the mini arenas. And actually, let's do 5 and 6 at the same time, okay? Because a little bit and mini arenas, I'm not sure which one actually spawns in on time, but they're going to be 46 and 53. I don't know if these are flipped or whatever, but the next flip, you're going to see the mini arenas. So next flip, what in the world was that? Anyway, all right, next flip, you're going to see the mini arenas. And the thing with the mini arenas is that you can lose Phantom Freddy in all the noise, or Nightmarion. You could have Nightmarion just fading into the screen and you won't know it. So you got to be really careful with keeping your mouse on the side of the screen with the mini arenas up, and then after a while, maybe a few flips later, you're going to have no more mini arenas. But and I don't know the exact timing on that. Maybe I could go back and add that to this later, but not this video, of course, because you can't do that on YouTube, but maybe just a note somewhere. But the next flip, you're going to have the distraction, the visual distraction, kind of like in Sister Location, Golden Freddy mode, very hard, and you're going to have mini arenas annoying you for a little while, all right? So Phantom Freddy is one. Also, you got to make sure that you're keeping tabs on Nightmare BB with this as well. So any visual thing that needs attention, it's going to be a little harder with the mini arenas there. Lolbit's the other one, and basically, you're just going to have noise. So noise when Lolbit is there, and then you're just going to type LOL. You can slam on L and O, and usually that takes care of it, or just slam on L and O a few times, and then you should be go. It should be good. It should be go. So just slam on LO and like 2 or 3 times or whatever, and you're just like that. But I do have to locate that on my keyboard, so I still do look down when Lolbit shows up. But I know Lolbit shows up man, like 118, I think, in this one. So it's like 25 seconds. But usually Lolbit shows up at like 58 or 59 or something like that. Note with Lolbit as well that when you're looking down, you can also have Phantom Freddy sneak up, because around that time, usually Phantom Freddy charges up. And yeah, if you haven't let him startle you already, then yeah, then you might have Phantom Freddy to worry about. Note also, Phantom Freddy, side note on Phantom Freddy, if you let Phantom Freddy startle you, it's about 52 seconds, or like 51 point something, until the next time that you will get jump scared or startled by Phantom Freddy. If that's the case, okay? So flashing with the light leads to a sooner charge of Phantom Freddy than letting Phantom Freddy startle you altogether. Okay, cool. I think that's good for those. Let's get to the next part. All right, we're going to go through a bunch of the gameplay here, so I'm going to try to talk preemptively as to what I'm going to do here. I'm going to get out of the mask, I'm going to click on Helpy, but I'm going to be quick with the mouse so Nightmarion doesn't jump scare me. All right, if you stay too long in one hot spot, you're likely to get jump scared by Nightmarion on 5020. While XOR is going buck wild side to side on my screen, I'm going to go back to the cameras and then do some quick checks on cam 5 and then back to cam 8. You actually have an advantage if you can keep the camera on cam 8 during the 15.0, 20.0, 25.0 second marks. The 5.0 second multiples, if you have the door shut on Mr. Hugs, you prolong any possible move of Mr. Hugs until the next 5.0 juncture, all right? If you don't have the door closed on Mr. Hugs correctly and you get out of the cameras after that 5.0, yeah, Toy Freddy's most likely going to have a game over in your face. So that's going to be pretty bad, but you're going to rely on random number generation for Toy Freddy not jump scaring you anyway at some point with this. So the key is quick flips late in the night and really past the death coin part. And we'll get to that part in a little bit as well. But if you avoid the 0.0s and 0.5s at all when checking the cameras, you won't see a Toy Freddy jump scare, because Toy Freddy only jump scares you on the 0.0s and 0.5s. At least I'm like 99.9% sure of that, okay? So you just got to do quick flips, and that's it for that part, okay? After all that, I'm going to wait until the 26.0 mark before going into the cameras, all right? And I can't have the camera loaded at 26.0, but if I start at 26.0 or something low 26, I have a lot of time to go to cam 7. I'm going to buy the death coin with the coins that I have. Then I'm going to go over to cam 6, all right? And cam 6 is Funtime Foxy's camera, so the Showtime cam. I'm going to death coin Funtime Foxy with this strategy. And if you want to see any no death coin route, I have that as well on my channel. And I can discuss the no death coin route at another time as well, but this is the most reliable way of getting a win on 50-20 mode. I would say mathematically that's definitely the case. But anyway, okay, so yeah, you're on the cameras the least with this. All right, so you're going to death coin Funtime Foxy, and by this time, Plush Trap is already there, and I'm there before Plush Trap is agitated as well. I guess in that case, what would that be? So that would be 25, so about like 38 or 39, Plush Trap would be really annoyed. So I'm there way before that mark. I'm gonna stay on the camera for about 1.6 to 1.8 seconds at the very least. I actually throw an extra check on cam 5 before I end up at cam 2. All right, cam 2, I'm gonna discuss the cam stalling stuff after this part, but we won't get to that until I actually get there, all right? But I check on Foxy one last time. If you have time to do that, great. If not, you know, oh well, just go to cam 2, all right? That's a safer thing to do. Afton actually does attack here, so you got to do a quick F closure, that side vent, and that's about it. Yeah, okay, so let's actually play it. Here you go. All right, Helpy, avoid Nightmarion, good. Cameras. I mouse over the coins. I don't need to, because I have 15 coins, but I could actually go at this point and get the death coin, but I actually missed a click on the cameras, so I'm just like, okay, I'll wait until 26. So 26, I'm gonna click on Ven and Cam. All right, I'm gonna buy the death coin, use the death coin, close it on Afton, wait 1.6 seconds, reset ventilation, get out of there quickly, and we're good. Okay, so that brings me to past the 32-second mark. In this case, you'll see the jaws appear, and I'm gonna have to flip on that power AC to get rid of the jaws, all right? I don't even know if you see them on this one, but I'm flipping between that and, yeah, power gen and all that. Okay, so you also heard the laughs of the bears at the doors, so I gotta close the doors. And past that point, if you don't need coins, you could just close them both and just get rid of them and then be done with them. All right, so this next segment is mostly going to be focused on what happens when XOR shows up late. So let's get to a portion of the video where I'm in the office. All right, got rid of the bears. I got rid of Old Man Consequence. So now I have the office here, and you notice that Phantom Freddy has some charge going. So if you want to let it ride with Phantom Freddy and let him startle you, that's a risk, but just know that you have to close the vent, the mid-vent W, either before he startles you or within about 200 milliseconds of the startle. Otherwise, you could end the night. Note that it's 35.3 by this point, so you're probably going to have one of the mid-vent animatronics waiting to go, and that's a problem. I'm going to use the power AC to get rid of Nightmare Chica, but if XOR doesn't show up by this point, you're going to have to worry about Rockstar Chica, because Rockstar Chica could be over here by this point on the right door, at the right door, at Cam 2, and you won't be over at Cam 2 yet because you're waiting on Funtime Foxy and Plushtrap to get their act together. All right, so let's say in the worst case scenario, what if XOR shows up at 41? So at 41.0, all right, you're going to have your first animatronic RWQFS FASXC showing up at 48.0. So sorry for all you who like RXQ. 55.0, you're going to have Plushtrap. All right, Plushtrap going to show up at 55.0. Well, you're going to have 10 seconds to go from Cam 6 and stay on there for 1.6 to 1.8 seconds, and then go over to Cam 2. All right, that's going to be your final spot on this route, and Cam 2, so let's say 1.6 to 1.8 seconds here, and then Cam 2. The problem is, later in the night, Toy Freddy might be loose, and you might get a Toy Freddy jump scare more of the time. At some point, you're going to have to deal with Toy Freddy being loose, so if you're on the cameras a long time, you're just going to have to rely on random number generation on him not attacking. That can be problematic, so you're going to get a Toy Freddy jump scare more often here than not if XOR shows up late. The other thing is, if you don't flip this sign over here, or you don't manage the sign, then you can also have a Rockstar Chica jump scare. Usually if XOR doesn't show up by about the 30-second mark, I'll flip the sign over to the right side, and that will prevent Rockstar Chica usually from jumping for at least another 15 seconds. And I've had a long segment of time where Rockstar Chica didn't jump scare at all with the sign on the wrong side, really. But I don't know the exact timings on that or the odds. So that's one thing to keep in mind is the sign right here. You got to double click on the sign, and it's often a pain to click on the sign. Often Nightmarion will show up when you're trying to click the sign, so it's often good to try to be over here for a while, let Nightmarion fade in, and then you go over here. You're like, haha, gotcha, flip the sign over. But remember, once you're done with all of this stuff right here and you're back on Cam 2, flip the sign back over to the left side, because then it prevents Rockstar Chica from showing up at the left door, but on the Cam 2 right door, yeah, you'll have Rockstar Chica cam stalled. So we'll get to the cam stalling later, the camera stalling, and that's been a pretty big part of the strategy with Ultimate Custom Night in getting through the night. I think Fast Dasher was the one who gave me the hot tip on that. Maybe it was a Reddit post or something, but anyway, yeah, that was very helpful in putting together all this strategy early on when we were first playing it. Okay. So that's that part right there, but you have to worry about getting over to a camera quickly after the 52 mark for sure. But after 55, you're going to have to get over there and stay on the camera until Plushtrap leaves the chair, and then go over to Cam 2, and then you should be good. The problem comes in, though, well, what if XOR shows up at 51.0 or all the way down to like 141, I think is a late time where people have seen XOR. I think Gumball V had a run where it was like 141, and that was that was just a really late appearance by XOR. Well, at this point, if you're going this route or whatnot, Plushtrap is going to show up at 1 minute 5. So 1 minute 5, this will be 58, and this will be a minute 5. You're already beyond where you have to be at 105.0, or that's it. So you can't have time with this route if XOR shows up past the 41.0 mark. All right, so that's just the unfortunate hard facts on that one. All right, so that's that portion right there, but you do have to worry about as well Freddy. Freddy at the left door is a problem at like anywhere from 33.0 to 37.0. If you're maintaining your temperature, you don't have to worry so much about Freddy showing up sooner than that. But if it's a hot room, Freddy can show up a lot faster than 33.0. But part of this is temperature management as well. So when you're flipping and turning on the power generator, you're usually going to want to turn on the fan at least until it's down to like 65 degrees or so. You don't want to have it on so long that it's 60 and it stays there and you waste power, but I mean, it is an option. It doesn't waste all that much power to do that, but if you want to be really, really efficient, you want to stop it before it hits 60 and you just kind of stay there and you're cooling down stuff that doesn't need to be cooled down. I think you get my drift there, but Freddy is a little bit of a problem as well because, man, Freddy, oh man. So Freddy appears at the left door. There's no sound cue for it, but if you close the door very briefly, you won't hear a thud. You got to hold that door shut for almost, it might even, I don't think it's a full second, but it's pretty close. It's a really long time for Freddy to respond, but you're going to close it for a long time until you hear a thud, and that's what you need to hear to get rid of Freddy. But any long checks when Bonnie is active, so if Bonnie's on the table, you're usually going to have Freddy show up at some point during that. You're going to want to get rid of Freddy between this range, and preferably when the power generator is running, but at the same time, you just want to get rid of Freddy so that you don't get jump scared. If you do get rid of Freddy, you don't have to close the left door while you're doing a camera flip. You only have to close W. So all the flips beyond this are just WSSW. So let's discuss that really quickly. I hope you got all that info. This is like a very odd tutorial session, but hopefully you're getting something out of it. All right, so your temperature, one thing about your temperature, if it's getting near 90, you're going to be okay. 89.5 or above, so 89.5 degrees or above. I'm hoping it's Fahrenheit, because boy, that would be a hot office if it weren't. Yeah, 120 degrees Celsius, oh boy. But Jacko Chica becomes an issue. So, Jacko Chica. So you have to cool it down regularly in order to avoid Jacko Chica. So every time that you have the power generator running, you probably want to have the fan running as well. That little burst of power AC from Jaws over here, yeah, you're going to lose a few degrees, and you can keep it on a little bit longer if you're afraid that you're going to be a little bit hot. And you just want to keep it basically under 89.5 or 90. I think this rounds up to 90, but a lot of problems come in when you hit 90 and you stay there for a while, so you go above 90. It'll charge up some basic, like, oh, it's too hot energy going on with Jacko Chica. So let's say you just let this run up and it goes to like 110 degrees. You're probably going to get jump scared by Jacko Chica. All right. If you let this go up to like 92, but then you cool it down and it goes down to like, say, 70 by the time you're done with that portion. All right. Yeah, that's cool. That'll warm up a little bit, but next time you run the power generator, you'll cool it down a little bit. Then the next time, if you're doing good runs of the fan or whatever, yeah, you can cool it down to 65 maybe the next time or something like that. But you just want to make sure that it doesn't go above 89.5 for a long period of time, because the more you let this run above that mark, you're going to store up anger for Jacko Chica. All right. If you want to get rid of Jacko Chica when it's cool in the office, you shut the left and the right doors. That's one of the dynamics in the game. But shutting both those doors at the same time, it kind of like discharges. Again, I use decharge Jacko Chica. But if you do that, you're wasting power as well. So you can usually not do that in a night. You just keep it cool enough. You alternate between power generator plus fan and music box. All right. So that's Jacko Chica. What else was I going to discuss? I don't know. Let's call that a segment. For this next part, I want to talk about the threats at each door and what doors you have to close during camera flips after the death coin part. All right. So let's go by letter A and W and D and F. All right. Let's see. Let's give RWQ some cool glasses. Give him a nice little nose. Started to look like my dad. Nah, my dad doesn't have a mustache. Anyway, all right, so on the left door, you have Freddy as a threat. We've discussed Freddy. Freddy, you have to keep the door closed for a long period of time before you hear that thud. You also have a potential for Nightmare Fredbear being at this door. Well, you got to worry about closing that left door for a short period of time and hearing a thud, and it could be Nightmare Fredbear. Also note that you have Ballora, so Ballora as a quick reaction. Ballora can show up at either one of these doors, and so if you hear a thud on the left door, sometimes it's not Freddy, sometimes it's Ballora showing up and you just didn't hear the audio well, because there's a lot of other audio going on sometimes. So Ballora can be a quick react on either door, but you want to keep Freddy. Freddy's the main threat. Freddy at bay by closing that door for a long period of time until you hear that thud. It's annoying too because sometimes Freddy doesn't show up very quickly, and you close the door at like 32, 33, and you just don't hear a thud, and Freddy's not there yet. Well, that's a little bit of a problem, but you just don't want to get caught by surprise by Freddy after you don't hear a thud, and then you wait a few seconds, you check the cameras, and don't close this one, and you get a jump scare. Oops. Well, that stinks, but you can always close A. It's optional, but if you get rid of Freddy and you get rid of Nightmare Fredbear, and Ballora's not a problem or whatever, then you don't actually have to close the left door, so you don't have to close A. The mid vent, or the top vent as the mobile game calls it, I wish I could have had input onto that, calling it the mid vent, but I don't know, it makes sense as a top vent. That's the unofficial name, but I've always called it the mid vent. But W, you have several animatronics to worry about here. So you have Mangle, you have Withered Chica, who gets caught in the vent if you don't check Withered Chica. The problem is Mangle, if you get Mangle in the office, can jump scare you if you're on the cameras at just the wrong time or for too long. But Mangle is a noise issue for real. Like, seriously, your night is not going to be very efficient if Mangle is in there even close to the end of the night. So anyway, that's going to cause Music Man to get annoyed, and then you can't have Power Generator running as much as you want, which is a problem with power. But anyway, who else? You got Ennard, and you have Springtrap. Springtrap is just the visual cue, and then you have Molten Freddy and Fred. Molten Freddy. Okay, so these three you don't have to close the mid vent on when they show up like the other games. There's usually a quick reaction type element going on. You got to close the doors and the vents on Ennard very quickly in Sister Location, but you don't have to do that here. You do have to close it by the time or during the time that the cameras are up, because the only times that these three can jump scare you is on a camera flip if the vent is open, all right? And they're at the vent opening. Mangle, Withered Chica are going to stay there if they're not vent snared. They're going to stay there at the vent opening if that's the case. And then if you don't close W during the camera flip, you're going to have one of those show up either, you know, in the vent opening or in the office, causing you a big noise problem. And then the other three will jump scare you if you don't have it closed. So you do want to close W on camera flips consistently after this point, all right? Guess we'll relieve the duty for RWQ here from wearing that stuff. So the right door is another issue. You have several, but they're going to be pretty well taken care of. The right door, you can have Nightmare show up, and that's just you have to close it before another camera flip. So that will be one thing. What else? A bunch of them. You're going to want to have the sign over here. That is a good thing by this point if you're on camera 2. So you're going to have your camera on cam 2. So that's good. Then you're going to have the option of seeing Rockstar Chica. You're going to see potentially Nightmare Bonnie. So the plushie animatronics. You're going to have Baby. And you're going to have Nightmare Mangle. Alright, so some options with the plushie animatronics. You can just stay on cam 2 and be good, or you can go and purchase the plushies for 20 coins a piece, which can be done, but it's definitely a different route and different mentality, and gaining a bunch of coins and, you know, just having a wealth of Faz coins by the time you need them. With this one, you're just cam stalling all of these animatronics, and I mean, Scott said before that he has put cam stalling in as a feature, because if you have the camera on the animatronics, then it doesn't make sense to have them attack you while the camera's still on them. So that's why he left that in. I guess Five Nights at Freddy's 1 with Freddy was the first instance of that in Cam 4B on Five Nights at Freddy's 1, because you keep Cam on Cam 4B and Freddy won't attack you. And that was the kind of the game breaker for power management on that one. Then on this game right here, Cam 2 is the main camera for cam stalling with this strategy, because you get all of these animatronics, including Rockstar Chica, cam stalled, and they will not attack even though that door is open. So you don't actually have to close the right door either if you're on camera 2. The side vent, you're going to have a quick react from Afton, so that's kind of a different, different issue. You have BB and JJ, and not JJ the jet plane, but BB and JJ can be at the doors. You're not going to have door or light functionality if they get loose in the office, and that can eventually end the night, but it's going to be at the hands of another animatronic. So BB and JJ are basically like Magic Johnson with assists. They're just assist monsters. And if they're loose in the office, sometimes you won't be able to get to closing a door or using the light as you need. And it's kind of an annoyance, all right? So anyway, all right. So what else? So basically, you don't have to shut F while you're checking the cameras. So you're going to do a movement of W, S, and then you can click to reset ventilation, and then SW. I found it very helpful to find the spot to where the ventilation reset is. So it's kind of like, it's like around here somewhere, but you're going to want to move your mouse over there and be prepared. You want to have your mouse positioned, line it up, get ready to click. So WS, click SW, so you're going to reset ventilation that way. You can get very, very fast flips that way, but be sure you're getting rid of Freddy, and be sure you're on camera 2. And be sure, yeah, BB and JJ are not, ready to go crazy in the office there. So, all right, that's about it for that part, but I think that's probably going to be one of the more helpful parts. So I hope it is. I hope you're getting a lot from this so far. All right. This next split, we're going to discuss Bonnie and Foxy splits. So basically, how long you keep Bonnie on the table versus how long you keep Foxy on the table. And when I say on the table, I am talking about this right here. So Bonnie's on the table right now, and you've noticed that I've kept Bonnie on the table for a fairly long time at this point. So I'm not rushing to go to the cameras to reset ventilation yet. That's because you want to prolong Bonnie. So just think with Bonnie, prolong. You want to keep Bonnie on the table as long as you can. And all right. You kind of want to stifle Foxy, but you have to wait a little bit to flip with Foxy on the table. Otherwise, there's a chance that Foxy won't even leave the table, and then you have to worry about everyone in the office again. That's kind of a pain, all right? So let's go and play some video here. I'm going to go through 45, and we'll discuss what possibly can happen at 45 in some rare circumstances with this route. All right, it's coming up on 40, so we could have an L-chip ad or a phone call. All right, just a phone call. We close that. Long close on Freddy, swap back to music box. You heard Molten Freddy's laugh at the mid-vent. So W, there's someone waiting there, and you see Phantom Freddy is starting to fade in, Nightmare on in front. Yeah, we're past 45.0. I have a bunch of coins, so if Rockstar Freddy wants some coins, I have spare. I can just pay 5 coins. All right, can't do that forever, but yeah, you can pay 2 rounds of coins at this point. I'm just going to get more coins after this. But all right, 45.0 can be a big problem. And why is that? Well, what if XOR shows up late and Plush Trap isn't even there yet, and you haven't even done the Death Coin part on Funtime Foxy? Well, I would advise doing the Death Coin part on Funtime Foxy before 45.0 regardless. So at 45.0, over Nightmare On's face. So 45.0 seconds. Funtime Foxy. Funtime Foxy needs to be a 1 a.m. showtime for this to happen. So 1 a.m. showtime, that would mean that you have to visit and be on cam 6 at 45.0, which means that you have to load the camera a few tenths of a second beforehand. So you're looking like, let's say 44.7. You go, and it's going to take a little while for that frame to load, and then say 44.9 happens, and then you're okay, because 45.0 then happens and you're good with the reset of the showtime. It's going to change to either 2, 3, or 4 at that point. And I think it's a 1 and 3 after all those death coin runs, but I really feel like 2 a.m. was the mode and that 1 was a lot less common, but I wanted 1 a.m. and it didn't feel as if it was showing up as much as I wanted it to. And then 4 a.m. definitely didn't as well. It was very rare for it to be 1 a.m. than 4 a.m. That's basically what you have to have for a normal death coin route. You can do it another way, but we can talk about the advanced and different routes another time, I suppose. But in this case, 45.0 have that frame showing on cam 6, watching at 1 a.m. right when it swaps over to 1 a.m. All right. That prevents a Funtime Foxy jump scare. If you have the camera on camera 6 and you show up late, then that's a Funtime Foxy jump scare. I take it that Funtime Foxy is monochronic. Or you show up early and you leave before 45.0, the next time you check the cameras, you're going to get a jump scare, and that's also a problem. All right, so that can happen if XOR shows up late and you haven't done the death coin part on Funtime Foxy yet. If you do have to wait, I would advise waiting until 39.1 or 39 point something, because 39 is another Rockstar Bonnie / Withered Bonnie possible spawn. So if the cameras are up, you have a chance of having an attack from either one or both. All right, it's not a guarantee. You can have no one show up, but it's rare that that happens. It's a lot less common, I should say. My guess is it's probably more like a 1 in 9 for that to happen, if it's a 2 in 3 chance for every one, each one to show up. All right, I don't know those odds for sure, but that's just a guess. All right. Anyway, you should check after the 39 mark and make sure that you've taken care of Freddy. So Freddy. All right, and I did get rid of Freddy with that long thud. All right, and that was basically it for Freddy. Freddy will come back more around the 112, 115 range at this point, so you want to keep like 115 in mind after this point for Freddy. But anyway, all right, so speaking of 45.0, you want to get rid of Freddy and you want to shut the door on W because you have company. So you're going to do a WS, and then you can do the death coin, death coin part, and then SW. The problem is Toy Freddy is also a risk at this point because Toy Freddy's probably going to be out by this point unless you've really been keeping tabs on him. So that's also a risk, but you have to take that risk. Anyway, it's much easier if XOR shows up earlier and you're done with everything. You don't have to worry about flipping the sign at all. Or if you decide to flip the sign at the start of the night, you just get out of the cameras, you flip it back, and you're good. Okay? But this is, the 45.0 mark can be a problem, and that's worth noting. Okay? What else? We got more happening at 105, so we're actually going to play through 105 here, so let's do that. It's a lot more calm at this point. Well, I see Phantom Freddy is starting to, fade in. All right. That part right there, that was really risky. I let Phantom Freddy startle me, and you heard that vent shut right as that was happening. It was tricky too because I was trying to avoid Toy Chica. So Toy Chica slides in and Toy Bonnie slides in at sometimes. It's a random on their appearances, but things were happening while Phantom Freddy was about to startle. So I had to watch that very carefully, and if I got distracted by someone else and then I didn't shut that mid vent, I probably would have had either Mangle in the office, or if anyone were in that vent opening, then that would have been a jump scare and game over. And Mangle showing up this early as well would be probably a game over, because you have a chance of being jump scared by Mangle, but also, while if you visit the cameras, there's a chance, but also the noise level at this point in the night, you're going to waste so much power because you're not going to be able to run the power generator as much. You'll have that noise build up, and Music Man will be a problem. So you're going to have to run nothing instead of power generator, which does eat up a little bit of power. And running nothing takes up about 1% every 9 seconds or so. But power generator, you can run that, and unless you're running something else, you're not gonna have any power drain at all. So if you're running power generator and fan, and that's it, then it's like that 0 block, 1% every 9 seconds. But if you have nothing running and the fan, then you're eating up 1% every about 3 seconds. So it's one usage block, or one block of usage, I guess. Okay, so All right. So I guess maybe the one thing I should mention here, power generator is always useful. It basically takes away one block of power usage versus what you're using at the moment. So that's yeah, you can look at the strategy spreadsheet for that as well. I have some of those mapped out as to what percentages are used over what period of time with whatever block usage. All right, but think of power generator as a -1 block usage. So, all right, cool. Next thing, let's go to 105. 105. Uh-oh. Well, if we're not on cam 2 by 105, we're in trouble. All right, why is that? Oops. Let's click on this first. Yeah, all right. So 105 is a critical juncture as well. 105.0, that is a 0, not a 6. 165.0. 105.0. All right. Cam 2. So, cam stalling. Scott talked about this. If you have a camera on an animatronic and you visit the cameras, you're not going to get jump scared by that animatronic because you're staring at them, and it doesn't make much sense for there to be a jump scare. So, in this case, cam 2, all the plushie animatronics. So you have Baby, and we've discussed this a little bit already, but Nightmare Mangle, and let's see, 1, 2, and Nightmare Bonnie. It's been a long day. Nightmare Bonnie also. These are the 3 plushie animatronics. They have stuffed animals corresponding with them in cam 7 in the shop. All right, so plushies. You can camera stall them on cam 2. Also taken care of is Rockstar Bonnie, or not, what am I saying? Rockstar Chica, there we go. Rockstar Chica. All right, let's try to be coherent here. Rockstar Chica, if your sign's on the left, Rockstar Chica can be cam stalled as well. So as long as you have the camera on cam 2, you should be good. But if you're not on cam 2 by 105, you're going to get a jump scare by whichever one is ready to attack. All right. So what happens with the plushie animatronics? Think of this: 45.0, 215.0, and 345.0. Oh, that was terrible. 345.0. All right. So this is 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. If all 3 of the plushies are out and at AI 20, they're going to show up at these 3 times at random. All right. So everyone's going to show up once, but they're going to show up in a random order. It's basically just, whoever's on the top of the stack, basically, or queue, whichever way it's done. It's probably just a roll, and then, hey, has this animatronic been used yet? Anyway, so 45.0. Well, there is a 20-second allowance period for these plushies, which 20 coins, it's a very tall order. You're going to have to gather coins like crazy beforehand, and it can be done, but it's a completely different mentality. It's much more relaxed after this point, but you want to be on cam 2 by 105.0, which is tough if XOR shows up at 41 or 40 or 41, but it can be done. After that, yeah, and we've been through that too. Okay, so there's a 20-second period after they appear. So 105.0, 235.0, and 405.0. There's an interesting thing that happens with this as well, so I'll discuss that. But you have to be on you have to either purchase the plushie or be on cam 2 by these points. Otherwise, you're going to get jump scared. But during this entire block of time, all 3 of these, you can change cameras. So that leads to, say, the death coin route, or no death coin route, I should say, because that's correct. If you are in this time frame right here, 215 to 235, you can visit the shop during this time, and you do have a risk of getting attacked by Toy Freddy pretty heavily, but you can purchase the plushie that is out at the time, and then go over to cam 6, and then you can do more things to try to avoid Funtime Foxy jump scaring you. So that's the no death coin route, that principle right there. But during this block of time, yeah, there's no attack, but you have to be by 235.0, by 405.0, you're going to have to be on cam 2 again if you don't purchase the plushie. So basically, staying on cam 2 The reason for doing that is you camera stall the plushies. You don't have to buy the plushie from the shop, and then you should be good. All right, I think that makes pretty good sense. And staying on cam 2 and Rockstar Chica going to the right door instead of the left because your sign is over here on the left. So Rockstar Chica will not, Rockstar Chica RC can't go through here, but can over here. But you have the camera on Rockstar Chica, so she will not attack you. All right, that's it. All right, so that's it for that part, but 105 is a critical juncture, and that's worth noting as well. So the rest of the night, you're going to have a lot more to do with the Bonnie and Foxy splits, all right? So let's actually go through the next segment, which would be the camera flip. So we're talking about, it's going to be after 115. The things I'm going to keep in mind at this part, I've already taken care of Phantom Freddy by letting him startle me, so I don't have to worry about the fade in from Phantom Freddy. But if I'm using flashlight a lot and there's the constant fade in going on, then I have to think about that as well through this time. I also want to think about it about 115, shutting the left door on Freddy to get rid of Freddy. All right, so let's play this segment and then cool. As you see Springtrap staring at me right there. I don't have to get rid of Springtrap until the camera flip. Okay. So, interesting there. In this run, I shut the door on Freddy at about 42.0. I held that left door shut for a while because I'm like, is Freddy there? And Freddy wasn't there. So I didn't hear that thud after a long period of time. So I just went for it. I did a WSSW. So WSSW. So this closes the mid vent, and then this is the camera, and then the ventilation reset, and then this opens up the office again, or brings back the office. It closes the cameras, and then this doesn't shut. It opens the mid vent again. Okay, so I'm not going to waste power. So that's what I do on that flip. But that was interesting right there because I didn't get rid of Freddy. So now on this short flip with Foxy, I'm going to have to shut the door again in a little bit to get rid of Freddy. But since I closed the door on Freddy at like 42 or so, you can have a late appearance by Freddy at, like 119 or so, or 120, 121 maybe. But around that period would be a late appearance by Freddy. Note also, yeah, Freddy can show up quicker if the office is warm, but it is not. I've been swapping between music box and power generator and fan all at once, so I've been keeping it cool in the office, at least. So it's not red letters there over in the temperature area there. So okay, so that's one thing here I have to worry about now. I have to deal with the mini arenas again. You have to keep watch so that Phantom Freddy is not going to be a problem. Also, yeah, Scrap Baby could show up. Like if she looks up, then I'm going to have to shock Scrap Baby. And the other thing, Nightmare BB is standing up over here. So I'm going to have to flash Nightmare BB before I do a fast flip with Foxy. It's best to take care of it while there's not too much going on. So my guess is I'm going to take care of them pretty quickly. I'm going to make sure that Foxy is on the table here. Because if Foxy is not on the table, then actually I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled. Like if Bonnie were still on the table, I would do a long period with no more flip. And then I would be like, okay, well, thanks, Bonnie, for not leaving. But I don't think that actually happens. It's usually Foxy who stays on the table, if anyone. So like a double appearance. Anyway, Rockstar Freddy is also here, gonna demand 5 coins because he is being a little bit greedy. Not too bad. I mean, if you were asking for 50 coins, I'd have more of a problem. And then I also want to check the vent to make sure that there's no BB or JJ. And then I might have to close F before the next flip, okay? So let's check this all out. I don't change cameras after this point with this strategy, so that's one thing to note. But those are all the ones that I'm going to have to watch out for at this point. You notice throughout as well, Ballora usually appears on, like near the, like a few seconds before the 15 marks at some points, and you just have to do a quick closure on whichever door she is at. That's it for Ballora. It's just, yeah, you sometimes have other noises that interfere and you can't quite hear Ballora, or you can't hear as well, and that can also be a problem. Ballora, you need to close that door pretty quickly. I think if Ballora shows up at about 15.0, because it's more like 15.0 and maybe then 28, and then I remember 428 was one appearance by Ballora, but you have to close the door within 1.8 seconds, I think is the value there, because I've been, the nights ended at 16.8 seconds with the 15.0 appearance, and I think it's just so that you'd probably have the end of the night at 429.8 if you didn't get that last Ballora if she shows up at 428. Okay, so anyway, all right, that's Ballora. Those are the ones you're looking for with the mini arenas there, and let's keep going. I want to go through the next Foxy flip, all right?
Please deposit 5 coins.
Okay, so I got rid of a few there. So Foxy was on the table.
Please deposit.
Keep going.
Thank you for depositing 5 coins.
And I flipped. I tried to reset the ventilation. I'm not even sure I got that. I didn't hear the click, but sometimes you can miss, or you flip so fast and you don't click on the exact right 1/10 of a second or whatever. But you want to do fast flips past this point. One big thing is Toy Freddy is a threat after the first maybe 40 seconds especially, I would say. But if you have the camera on for a really long period of time, you're asking for trouble at this point, because every, so Toy Freddy, so this is the 2020 edition here. Mr. Hugs got me again. Toy Freddy, if you don't check the cameras at X.0 or X.5, you won't have a Toy Freddy jump scare. But you have to be really, really kind of hawk-eyed with this. So you're going to do a quick flip, and you have to do a fast flip because you got to do it within, you know, a few 1/10 of a second. So, and this is when the cameras are loaded, I'm pretty sure. So this right here, if you're at, we're at 126. So if I flipped at 127.0 instead, and I left it on through 127.5, I have 2 chances of getting a Toy Freddy jump scare there. I don't know the exact odds. My guess would either be, my guess would probably be 1 in 10. I don't know. It might be 1 in, I don't know that it'll be 1 in 5, but my guess would be 1 in 10. So every time you have it open on a 0.0 or 0.5, you have a shot of getting jump scared by Toy Freddy. If Chica's mad, it's the same thing. I think Chica's odds are a little bit more harsh than Toy Freddy's, but I don't know. That would just be a guess. So if Chica's mad, I would really try to rush those flips. Interesting as well, Lefty. If you want to avoid Lefty completely, just don't check on the X.0s. All right. You notice I'm also not using heater. I'm trying to flip very fast, so I'm kind of, I guess as Daco said, I YOLO it now. Like I just, yeah. You only live once, but it's just, yeah. You do a fast flip, and late in the night, you're not gonna have your camera up a whole lot, and you take that risk. You can use the heater to get rid of the duct animatronics, and that can be a safer way to go about it, but you're going to want to probably also then go power AC to cool it back down, and then go back to either power generator or music box. It does eat up extra power, so in between these two emphases, between efficiency and reliability and replicability, yeah, I don't want to waste power, and so that's the thing. Late in the night, I don't want to have the cameras on a long time and do fast flips, so that avoids, hopefully, Toy Freddy, Lefty, Chica, and the duct animatronics. But a note here too, when I mentioned Lefty as well, Lefty's rarely a threat on this mode, and same with Music Man. So let's discuss that really quick. But Toy Freddy, yeah, just try to avoid the 0.0s and 0.5s on the cam flips, and flip very fast. That's about it, because Toy Freddy is gonna be loose. That's just an inevitability. You're not gonna be able to check all the cameras all the time, and it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, yeah. All right, so Lefty. One note about Lefty, Left-E or Lefty. Not even, that's not even clear. Let's try that again. All right, so Lefty and Music Man. And if you have played FFPS, you'll know why I write it like that. But basically Lefty and Music Man. If you are splitting your time half and half between Music Box and Power Generator and Fan combined, you're not going to have a problem with Music Man or Lefty. Why? Because the Music Box has a soothing effect, and it's not this like noise craziness that builds tension with Music Man and Lefty. And you're also keeping the room cool with Lefty. That's an issue, but I think Lefty is more influenced by noise than the actual temperature. So that being said, Lefty and Music Man should not be a threat unless you miss a call. So Music Man, if you miss a call or you miss a helpy click, miss a helpy, or you miss lull bit, you just keep lull bit on the screen. That builds noise like crazy too. So miss lull bit, or what else? Miss Phantom Mangle. There are all sorts of things that build up noise, or if you're running all sorts of stuff for too long. But if you're swapping between that and Music Box, it's not going to be a problem. If you do go to Cam 4 and do some manual winds of the Music Box, you can run into issues with Music Man and hearing a lot of cymbals because, yeah, you're not running a 50-50 split. But anyway, so if I've forgotten anything on the noise, yeah, that's how unfortunate. But yeah, these are some examples of things that you can do to rile up Music Man. Otherwise, you should not have a problem with Music Man. All right. If you don't miss any calls, that's the big thing. And that's really it. Okay. So what else? What else? So you note also that the Bonnie and Foxy splits, finally I'm getting to this. But I've covered a lot in this section, so I'm hoping this will be helpful. All right. You're going to want to have Bonnie, anywhere from 45 to 50 seconds, and you should be good. Foxy, I think Pongui was the first one to post this suggestion, but maybe an ideal would be keep Foxy at least 6 seconds on the counter, or on the desk, I should say. I don't know. I would say, yeah, definitely greater than 5 seconds, but try to be less than 15 seconds. I don't know if there's a 15-second interval or whether, like, at a 15 juncture, there's a check. Oh, did you check Foxy or not? And is Foxy on the table? If so, advance. But it seems really random because sometimes if you do a fast flip, that Foxy stays on the table. Usually that happens if you go, 5 seconds or less. But think of it this way. You don't want to keep Foxy on the table for 45 seconds unless you are down to your last basic possible chance of winning. All right. So with Bonnie and Foxy splits, putting this on a timeline, let's say the night has been going on and you just finished Death Coin. All right. Death Coin done. Then you have, say, Bonnie on the table here. If Bonnie's on the table, you're going to back off Bonnie. So you have the B there, back off Bonnie, prolong Bonnie on the table. Then you're going to have a long block with Bonnie and say like 45 to 50 seconds. And you're going to flip. Then you get Foxy on the table. Well, Foxy, you're going to want to get off the table very soon. All right. So Foxy's going to be quick. And then you have a long Bonnie. So that's basically the pattern of what you want to do with Foxy. You know what would be interesting? What if, say, this were 30 seconds right here, and then you go through 116, all right? So you go beyond the 15-second mark, and then 130 is like here. Well, what if you get rid of Foxy at like 129? What if every 15 seconds there were a check on whether Foxy is on table? So Foxy, and then if Foxy's on the table, then a check is made. Were the cameras checked, or maybe was cam 5 checked? I don't know. If that's the case, then maybe going from 116 through 129 would be an ideal scenario for Foxy. So you keep him on the table before, and you get rid of him before that 15-second mark hits. I don't know if that's the case, but that would be something to test out. And that's what's been so interesting with the strategy development. Stuff like Toy Freddy, and noticing, oh, 0.0s and 0.5s are danger for Toy Freddy. Or Chica, the same thing, or Lefty as 0.0, and all the things going on there. We don't have the code in front of us, but this is basically black box testing, where we don't have access to the code, or I should say the event editor in this case, since it's ClickTeam. But we are deconstructing it such that we're figuring out how the game works, how things interact, and that type of thing. But if this is the case, that would be super cool. I don't know if it is. My guess is it's probably not, but you want to do a short flip for Foxy, but if that's the case and you want to get him off the table before 130, then that would be pretty cool. That's something to test. But anyway, however long you keep Foxy on the table, there very well could be a check every 5 seconds to see, you know, were their cameras checked, that type of thing. So if it's after this block, then maybe there's one advancement, and there's a chance every time that there's advancement. The thing is, this right here has to be a random as well, because I've had really long periods with Foxy that I've taken gambles on. So let's run through one more scenario, because this deals with calculated risk. So a calculated risk on Foxy. Say Foxy is on the table, it's 2:35 through the night, you have to get to 4:30, and that's the winning time, all right? Well, if Foxy is on the table at 2:35 and you have Foxy's legs and torso in the office already, you have options of flipping very, very quickly. So basically you go to like 2:42 and then you flip, then you have Bonnie. All right, but this flip right here could end it all. There's a chance that Foxy could advance several spots very quickly. I don't know if that's just a roll of the dice or what, but anyway, that's one option. All right. The problem is, Bonnie, you only can go to about 3:32 without running into ventilation issues, and then you have to do a quick flip, and then it's Foxy again. Well, you're going to have to flip one more time, and you're going to have a slightly prolonged Foxy here as well, say like 341 or 340 or something like that. That's actually not too bad, but you could do 2 flips with Foxy and 1 more with Bonnie. You have 3 flips that you have to do if you do the fast flip in this case. But either one of these, and I've actually seen Foxy advance on the Bonnie flip, I don't know why, but you have at least 2 flips with Foxy on the table here, and then 1 with Bonnie. That's that run right there. Then the rest of the night would be, oops, the rest of the night would be Bonnie. Then you'd be home free. But that's a lot to worry about. So let's go through another possibility, and this is the one that I took. It's the gamble that I took on the St. Jude charity stream, which I still would take. I still like my chances with this. But if I go through 306 and then I go at 346, because I was actually having some good luck with flips at 306 and 346 in a lot of runs throughout the practice period. And so the thing is, if Foxy's on the table, you only have 1 more flip with Foxy on the table, and if there was something with the multiples of 3 on the final digit, I don't know. So I was trying to flip on the 3 6s and 9s, and that would be the flip strategy, just be very quick, but I don't know. And quick flips, maybe you're avoiding a decimal point that advances Foxy, or, you know, throws him 1, 2, or 3 spots ahead or whatever. I don't know. But this period right here is a fairly long period of time. It's not as bad as the gamble you would take with having Foxy out 45 seconds or 50 seconds, so you'd go to like 325. But either way, this is a calculated risk because you have 1 flip that would have Foxy on the table right here. After that, you'd have Bonnie on the table, 1 more segment, and then you'd have Bonnie on the table on the final flip. So you are decreasing the number of flips with Foxy on the table, and I would definitely prefer that. So this risk actually turned out to be a jump scare, unfortunately, but this was basically, yeah, 1 more flip till a win. So that's why I took that risk on that stream, and I still would probably take that. Maybe I would revise that if I found something with the 15s, so a quick flip or whatever, but I was running to a whole lot of runs where I didn't have a problem with Foxy. I just have to go through and dig and figure out what I did differently on those, whether if I did the same exact things, they would come out with the same result. I don't know that it's not just a roll of the dice. And in this case, since it was a late XOR appearance and all that jazz going on, I don't know that Foxy would have been appeasable with that, because I had to hold different checks to a different time frame than I would normally. So if XOR showed up at 11 as opposed to 41, maybe I would have had an easy run with Foxy. I think that's probably the case, because you'd have more long runs with Bonnie and more short runs with Foxy. So anyway, if you think of Bonnie and Foxy, summing all this up, basically try to get short flips with Foxy and keep Bonnie on the table as long as you can. If you had to come up with something like cutesy, like Bonnie, if you think Bonnie, back off Bonnie, back off Bonnie, and Foxy, flip with Foxy, flip Foxy. Yeah. How about that? Back off Bonnie and flip Foxy. But that's the general mentality you should have with those splits throughout the night, especially after the death coin part, because that's going to be pretty important in hopefully keeping Foxy away, but Foxy is still a problem. I don't know. I run into some runs where Foxy's in the office like 50 seconds in if I'm just flipping just wrong or something. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful and decreases the RNG against you from winning the night. So let's play more of the video. Here we go. All right, 2 a.m. We're swapping back to power generator and fan. Mini arena is still annoying. I think the next flip we will have no more mini arenas. I took care of Ballora, took care of the phone call. We're gonna swap back to music box here. Good. You also noticed that I didn't have the I didn't have the fan on the whole time during that block. All right, so you saw the temperature. I stopped it so that you wouldn't have to go down all the way to 60 and have some stagnant time where you're wasting power. That's an optional thing, but it saves a tiny bit of power not to have it cooling the room when it's 60 degrees, because that's redundant. So you're just wasting power. You're keeping it at 60. Okay, but yeah, 145. Yeah, music box was running. That was good. And then Phantom Freddy startled. I closed the vent soon after. We're at a point at which we need to check on Freddy, and then, you know, we got to click on Bonnet's nose for sure. So when Bonnet shows up, usually a good spot. I usually wait till Bonnet's around here, and that's to avoid Nightmare on, of course. So could be annoyed by this point. If you just, you know, hover over here, it's easy to do when the mini arenas are there because you can't see all that well, and it's getting dim because ventilation's going out. But yeah, you can click on Bonnet's nose over here. Just make sure you don't miss. So that's about it. Click on that nose. That nose. All right. Cool. What else? I'm going to keep playing that video after I erase this. Okay, cool. Here we go. All right. I got rid of Freddy on the left. We're going to flip again soon here. Okay. And I actually decided to do the flip before 2 minutes because I would not have to worry about an ad or a phone call popping up really quick. So like during that time, this gives me a little bit of time to click that mute call. That's a terrible spot for a mute call. You see this right here, like, oh my goodness, it's a terrible spot. There's another spot like right here. It's not overlapping this, but it's a little bit above. That's a terrible spot for it too. I just don't like it when it's over there because you can accidentally either flip your mask or flip the camera, which can end the night. So accidentally 1 pixel down too far, and you actually, let's see, maybe like, how far is that? Maybe like 6 pixels or something. No, it's more than that. Anyway, you get the point. It's a small margin, and yeah, you don't want to click on, especially the cameras here. Okay, I got to pay 5 coins to Rockstar Freddy. Don't flash BB, Nightmare BB. Click on Helpy, get rid of Helpy, otherwise Music Man could get a little bit annoyed, and you have OMC to worry about. All right, let's keep going. Fox is also on the table, so we'll have to do a quick flip here.
Deposit 5 coins.
All right, Helpy's gone with a mute call. Swap back to, we got rid of Ballora, got rid of BB, and we're about ready to flip with Foxy as well. And you see I took stock in the multiples of 3 as well. So I flipped at the 209 mark on this. So anyway, I don't know if the multiples of 3 really has any credence to it, but that was about a 10-second allowance on Foxy being on the counter, and it seemed to be okay. Golden Freddy's out, so I'm going to have to flip the mask down. You see I'm opening up the mid-vent again, so I'm not wasting power. BB I'll have to take care of eventually on this trip, otherwise I will have some annoyance with BB. All right, that's about it. Note also with Golden Freddy, I guess you see, I mean, trash in the game can pop up at various parts, but yeah, that's just a noise and distraction thing in the office. Golden Freddy, you can put the mask down so fast that it won't register as a negation to Golden Freddy. So I think Scott put that in the game so that it really tries to get the intent of the player as opposed to, oh hey, I accidentally put on the mask. So anyway, let's see what I do. Okay, mask done, and that is a bad frame. There we go. Okay. So I'm almost halfway through the night. At this point, if you're doing a no death coin run, then you're going to want to think about getting ready for the plushie purchase, but here we don't. And we have Bonnie on the table, so we're going to stay here for about another 45 seconds. I mean, I'm going to wait until the ventilation really goes down. So, all right, Old Man Consequences is there, and here we go. 2:15, swap back to Music Box. Springtrap just chilling. Again, you don't have to close it immediately on Springtrap or any of the mid-vents just before you do another camera flip. One thing, if you want to get more coins, you can close W right now and you get a coin from Springtrap, and then later on you'll get Springtrap showing up more frequently. So that's another way of handling that. But with this one, you don't have to waste the power. You don't need the extra coins. And I mean, it's less actions that you have to take because of you just sitting there with Springtrap staring at you until the next camera flip, all right? All right, Phantom Freddy is starting to fade in a little bit. Swap back to Power Generator and Fan. Got rid of Ballora and Freddy. And if you don't feel comfortable with letting Phantom Freddy startle you like that, you can use your flashlight to slow Phantom Freddy down, and then, yeah, you just keep flashing or whatever. Just make sure if you're doing that not to flash the right side of the screen if Nightmare BB is slouched over, because if that happens and you accidentally flash over on that side, and sometimes it's more annoying than others, then yeah, you're going to get a jump scare from Nightmare BB. All right. 2:45. Got Ballora gone. All right, here's the flip. I missed it. Uh-oh, so what happens if I miss a flip? I have to very quickly, before the ventilation completely runs out, make sure that I flash Nightmare BB if he's standing up with the teeth out. I do have to click on Bonnet's nose. I think I did check the door on Freddy really quickly, just in case Freddy was going to show up. But I'm going to have to do a flip very quickly. One thing to note here, outside of this annoyance right here, Funtime Chica's there as a visual distraction. I'm going to have to pay 5 coins eventually, but if I do another flip, there's not another chance of Rockstar Freddy spawning for another 5 coins. He's not going to say, "Pay, please deposit 10 coins," or "Please deposit 15 coins." It's going to stay as 5. So you can last several flips if you're doing quick flips with Rockstar Freddy there and not have to pay every time. Just pay once, or use the heater to short circuit Rockstar Freddy. I don't do that in this case because I don't want to spend the power to do that. So again, the efficiency aspect of this happening as well. Okay, so I also have to check the side vent to make sure that BB or JJ hasn't shown up. So those are the things I want to check, as well as Scrap Baby. Scrap Baby. If Scrap Baby is looking at me right now, that's a real threat at this point. All right, so let's see what happens.
5 coins.
All right, no Scrap Baby, and we're good. Okay, so that took care of that. You don't want to miss on a ventilation reset if possible, but I did there, and I still survived it. Note that Foxy is still no pieces in the office, which is very good. All right, so we're almost 3 minutes in. It's going to be 4 a.m. here. On a no-death coin run, you're going to want to be on cam 6 and check at this point, really. You want to make sure that 3 minutes .0 is loaded, and then that's it for that part. But anyway, here we go. Another phone call. Get rid of that. Ballora, bye-bye.
Thank you for depositing 5
All right, we're going to flip, I think, at 3:09. Yep. Okay. But Foxy's legs are in the room now, so that's really 3 steps away from a jump scare, because you have the first thing that Foxy does is you have the legs here. So you got the legs. Over here, you can have another piece on the floor. So the right side, you can have the, I should say the torso. So let's say torso. And then you can have the final step before a jump scare, potentially. And you have Foxy's head on the counter, staring at you all the while. You were like, how am I going to win this night? All right. So those are the 3 things that Foxy can build up to in the office. But at the same time, as I mentioned, I don't know that there is not just some random, hey, advanced 1, advanced 2, advanced 3 steps. And I've had, again, I think I've mentioned this as well, Foxy wasn't in the office at all, and then I flipped, and then it was a jump scare. That was odd, but that's happened a few times. So anyway, RNG to figure out later. All right, we're at 60 degrees, so I should probably turn off the fan. Okay, good. I swap back to music box. Ballura's gone. Old Man Consequences is gone. Get rid of the phone call. All right, Phantom Freddy is starting to fade in pretty close. So I'm probably going to let him startle and then shut the mid vent. Yep. And see, you got Ballura there too. That sound was really loud and I could barely hear Ballura. But I got rid of Ballura. And yeah, that's that part. We're good. Okay. I shut off the fan. I got rid of the phone call. It's going to come up in 345. We're going to be at the last flip here pretty soon. All right, I'm going to get rid of Toy Bonnie here by keeping the mask down there. I think I checked on Freddy there on the left door. And then I'm going to do another WSSW, and this will be the last flip that we need to do. All right. Okay, so the principle here as well with Foxy, I should mention this as part of the Foxy split and all that. And you see actually there's the arm as well. I should mention that. So the arm, and I think on the right side you'll have the torso. Anyway, Foxy's on the table, but we don't have to flip again, so we're gonna keep Foxy on the table the entire rest of the night. All right. Okay, so let's keep going here. We have Nightmare BB to worry about. Helpy has to be clicked, but we don't have to flip again at this point. All right. And if you let Music Box run out, you're gonna have to do a very fast flip and very frequently, but we're not gonna let that happen. All right, here we go. Yeah. The torso is on the right and the arm is on the left. So that's basically 2 steps in. The next one would be head on the table and or jump scare. I don't know if the next flip would have caused both. My guess is probably yes, but who knows? We will never find out. All right. So we're almost to the end of the night. We got Bonnet to click. Good. Toy Chica. Good. Now I swap back to Music Box. And note right here, if I have the Music Box on at 4:15, all right? So right here is a timeline. 4:15.0 or whatever. And I turn on the Music Box here before this mark. Remember, 4:30 is going to come up pretty soon here. So I guess let's do a block swap. So instead of having to deal with Music Box entirely here, we're going to swap over to Power Generator, so 1 as opposed to a 5, about halfway through. And it could be an 8-7 split. So let's say we go through 423 or something like that. That's a safe mark, and then you'll have enough charge here to last you, and the charge is gonna go down all the way through like maybe 431, 432, but by 430 you're done. All right. So let's keep going. Let's see when I actually swap here. Yep, 423 point whatever, and we're good for the rest of the night. Sometimes you will at this point have a Ballura appearance at 428, and sometimes you won't. But that's, yeah, just something to pay attention to. One other thing, if you are running low on power at this point, and this one's going to be a 25% run, that's really, really solid, and that's not nearly my best, but that is really, really solid. If you're running low on power and you have to let the power generator run and the Music Box runs out, well, if Old Man Consequences shows up here, so OMC, with this fishing line or whatever, if you have to try to catch a fish here and you don't catch the fish and the Music Box runs out or your ventilation runs out, well, if you let this go and you don't catch the fish, he basically prevents you from going to the cameras for a few seconds, and this will prevent you from having to go into the cameras. All right, so that's basically a way to safeguard against low power if you have to have power generator running for a long time. Just let that Old Man Consequence fish go. Old Man Consequences fish, whatever. and then you'll have an inability to go to the cameras to have to reset ventilation. So what do you do in an extremely low power percentage remaining situation toward the end of the night? Because you can't have 1% power stretch forever unless you just have power generator running. You also have to worry about music box charge. So if your music box block just ran at like 4:15 and then you change back to power generator, so full charge on the music box, you should be good to hold on power generator the rest of the night. That helps a whole lot. You just want to keep power generator on in that case. But if you don't have a charge on the music box, you're not going to want to have music box on much at all. You only have 3 seconds of usage before that percentage runs out if you have music box on and nothing else is running at all. All right, hopefully your temperature is okay. You're not going to want to worry about fan in that case, but if you've had a hot office, Jacko Chica could get you as well. But what you're probably going to want to do is get your power generator on. And note that when your power runs out, that's the worst state to be in because you can't even flip the mask, and it sends you very quickly, ventilation runs out more quickly, kind of like when the music box runs out, just an accelerated decrease in ventilation remaining. It sends you to kind of a pseudo camera state. You can't reset ventilation. The funny thing is you can still honk Freddy's nose if you click just right, and you can also click on MeBird. I can't get a click on the menu with Rockstar Foxy in that case, but just an interesting thing there. But if you have Toy Chica show up from the left or Toy Bonnie from the right, then you are not going to be able to defend yourself with no power remaining. You also aren't going to be able to stop Ballora if she shows up at 428.0. You have about 1.8 seconds to stop Ballora, but when you can't shut a door because you have no power, yeah, you can't defend yourself. So the best bet, try to have power through the end of the night. It's better to run out of music box than it is to run out of power. All right, running out of power is the worst possible case. All right, and if you have to run out of power, make sure it's like the last 2 seconds or so, because you're not going to have all that much time to survive that. But if you do run out of music box ventilation, or you do run out of power, those are both problems. And that pseudo camera state, as well as any time you visit the cameras, you got to worry about Freddy jump scaring you. You got to worry about anyone from the mid vents. And I mean, if Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear also are there, that's also another problem. So if you have the power generator on, shut that left door until you hear the thud, for long hold and then thud from Freddy. Open it right away. So keep the power generator on still, because you have 12 seconds of any sort of processing with anything with the power generator on. All right. If you have just the power generator on, you're good, but you have to worry about music box, and yeah, that's probably going to run out if you don't have a good charge on it. All right. Then after you close that door on Freddy, you're going to want to close that mid vent to get rid of either Springtrap, Molten Freddy, or Ennard. If you know that they're gone by that point, you don't have to do that. But if Phantom Freddy startles you, or if it goes to that pseudo camera state, you're not going to want to be jump scared. Mangle's not going to be too much of an issue unless you get really, really unlucky. But if Mangle shows up in the office when either power runs out or music box brings the ventilation down, yeah, I mean, that could be an issue, but I wouldn't worry about it in that case. If you do still have power and the music box forces the ventilation down so quickly it's crazy, then when you go to that camera state while you still have power, try to reset the ventilation and get out of the cameras as fast as you can. Hold the power generator on and then hope that that's enough to last you the rest of the night. But a lot of power generator towards the end of the night, and yeah, I mean, you don't want to be in that situation, but sometimes, I mean, yeah, maybe you could be in that situation, and just make clear-headed decisions. Just think power generator saves power. I would say, though, I mean, there's a generous amount of power that can be saved. I mean, example here, 25% remaining. That can be upped by quite a lot. So I would say if you are running low on power, I mean, you can play this again, end up with the same type of scenario late in the night, but you might have 5% more power or 10% more power than a few runs before. You just keep building on the principles and get better and better, and end up with better and better results. That's the name of the game here. If you're fresh on the skills, it's easy to improve what you have already, all right? And there we go. I could have let that go, but I didn't need to. And that's it. Also make sure that Phantom Freddy doesn't startle you toward the end of the night there. That would be a problem. And again, let's go back just a second. 10,600, again, just saying here that if you remember Dee Dee So you have DD. And you can use DD repel on normal modes, but DD repel is not going to do anything on this one because XOR shows up. DD can spawn in animatronics at 45 seconds or a minute 30, anywhere from AI 6 to 10. All right. XOR is basically the grayscale version of DD, but also like a boss mode DD, and it's going to spawn in animatronics at 10. Remember those secret animatronics? Yeah, they're worth. There are 6 of them, and they're worth AI 10 each. So you have 50 animatronics to start the night, times your 20 AI. So 50 animatronics, that's a number. And then you multiply that by 20 AI times 10 points per AI, value for AI point, I guess. And then you get 10,000 from this. Yeah, you get 6. 10,000. And then what happens with the 600? Well, you have 6 animatronics at 10 AI and 10 points per AI. You get 600. So that's 10,600. Well, what about the death coin? Because I death coin Funtime Foxy. I mean, that's 4920, isn't it? No, because you started the night with 50 and you dealt with Funtime Foxy by getting 10 coins very painstakingly and then going and buying the coin in the shop and then using that on Funtime Foxy. If you watch the Doco interview with Scott that I'm so glad that we all got, that was pretty cool. Definitely wore on me to try to put extra hours in helping with that. I had a crazy set of weeks at work during that time, and I was helping out Daco during that time as well. It was a crazy week, and I'm glad I finished the mode 2, but I was pretty sure that if it was going to be possible, I'd be able to do it. I don't know. I mean, I've beaten the hard modes before on these, so anyway. Beside the point, I'm glad we got that Scott interview, but Scott said in that interview that 50-20 mode, the way that we accomplished it with the death coin, was an intended way of winning 50-20. So it wasn't a hack around it. It wasn't 49-20 or anything like that. If it were 49-20, you wouldn't see XOR. So 49-20, you get 9,800 points. This one, you spawn an XOR and you get an extra 600. And I guess, yeah, 49-20, you could still get a random XOR on a blue moon, then you'd end up with 10,400. That would be crazy too. Get a 49-20 and have XOR show up. That'd be pretty neat. Anyway, so yeah, the secret animatronics bring it up to 10,600. But one thing with death coin is you're going to note on the screen coming up that Funtime Foxy is going to be disabled on the main menu. All right, so the death coin does not refresh that animatronic to the value that animatronic started at. All right, so you're going to see basically a grayed out Funtime Foxy right here. All right, as I get a useless power up from Rockstar Freddy. All right, so you see here, well, let's erase this really quick as I'm on the wrong screen here. Okay, here, this right here. See, it's grayed out and it says 0. The point value right now is 9,800 because if you start over the night, yeah, it's not going to reset Funtime Foxy to the original value, which I think is kind of a pain, and it would have been annoying. Like maybe have some kind of icon here that said, you know, death coined or something, or some like, you know, X over the face of Funtime Foxy or something, but it would still have 20 because you started the night on 20. That would have been a more generous not AI, but UI decision on that, so the user interface. But you have to reset with set all 20 in order to play 50-20 again. So if you get past the death coin part and then you don't win the night, or if you win the night, you're gonna have to reset to 20s anyway. So that's 50-20 mode. There are a few more things I can discuss here, so let's discuss those in the next segment. But yeah, I kind of wish that the UI were designed a little bit differently. I guess it adds to the no death coin route because you don't have that issue with no death coin. Okay. So what about some of the other cases in which you're going to have to basically call an audible to figure out what to do, how to salvage the night, that type of thing? Because sometimes you're not going to get the best odds, sometimes you're not going to get the best appearance time of XOR, or maybe in this case right here, you are looking at the shop cam, but you visited cam 5 and Bonnie was there and you have nothing but static. Well, a lot of these things you have to line up with other things on the screen. And you note here the buy button for the death coin is right here. All right. You notice it lines up with this top line right here. The problem is you're going to have the ability of the cameras to slide left and right. So you're going to have to click around to find that buy button, but you get the vertical component correct, you have a shot of it. So remember this right here for for the buy button there. The thing is too, this usually doesn't happen, but usually by the time you get death coin, you're going to have 10 and not 20 coins. I almost have even 20 coins by now, which is crazy. But if you don't have 20 coins, even if you click around aimlessly on this line horizontally, you're not going to be able to buy the Nightmare Mangle plush here, just regular Mangle looking plush. But yeah, you're not going to be able to buy this, so there's no threat of you accidentally buying that plushie. But if you have 20 coins, yeah, you're going to run that risk if you have nothing but static and you don't know where the camera is or whatever. So that's just a quick way of lining things up there. Some of the other things, if you have a Golden Freddy mask flip that goes too quickly and it doesn't register, and you see it in time, you can flip again and you will get rid of Golden Freddy. So yeah, one of the things to do to avoid that is when you exit the camera, go that same route to where you're resetting. If you reset ventilation, you're going to click here, then you're going to hit S. All right, and then you're going to go here and bounce over the mask and then bring your mouse over here so you avoid Nightmarion. All right, so you're going to keep your mask on until Golden Freddy is not a threat, as opposed to going so quickly and flipping it up and down that, one, Golden Freddy might not register you doing that, and two, Nightmarion doesn't have a field day with you being in the same spot for a long period of time. All right, so yay, circle around my face though. All right, I'm looking like an astronaut. Cool. Another thing to think about there, Rockstar Bonnie cams. It's these four right here. It's kind of like a rectangle. I think of it like a rectangle. You have cams 6, 2, 1, and 8. So this one's the Toy Freddy, the T-Fred cam. T-Fred. This one is the Funtime Foxy. Fun Fox. And then you have the right hall and the left hall. The problem is if you're trying to catch the guitar, if you're trying to click on the guitar is going to be on the left side of the screen. Let's actually go to a Toy Freddy portion here. All right, yeah. In this case, you might not even see the camera. You might not even see the guitar on the camera because it's going to be like over here. All right, but it might not be scrolled all the way over to the left, so you might have to wait a little while. So it's problematic to have to find that guitar. But if it's not over here and you go to 1, 2, 6 or whatever, you're gonna have to check each camera. It's nicer if you're on one of these cameras to have the guitar appear where you are and you can click on it right away. You'll see kind of a quick dim at the 13 multiple, and then you can either see the guitar or not. But that is a cue that Rockstar Bonnie is there. And you have to take care of Rockstar Bonnie within 16.6 seconds. If you don't click on the guitar by that point, then you are done. But it's so rare to get rid of Rockstar Bonnie after the first, say, 20 seconds that it's almost not worth going for. Interestingly, if you watch that St. Jude charity stream, the 2020 stream, and again, yeah, thanks so much to Matt Pat for letting me be part of that stream. If I didn't mention that already, it was really cool to be a part of. But I got rid of one of the Rockstar Bonnie guitars at least 40 seconds into the night. It was pretty crazy, and I was pretty psyched about that. It's very rare that you actually can do that. The problem is Toy Freddy got me because I was on the cameras for so long and Toy Freddy was loose. So that was a little buzzkill because I'm like, oh snap! I got the Rockstar Bonnie guitar so late, and I'm still going. But man, yeah, it's crazy, and you got to get back over to camera 2 at that point because late in the night, yeah, you got to cam stall Rockstar Chica and the plushies at 105 for sure. All right. What else? Odd scenarios, also known issues. I guess I would put the Golden Freddy mask thing under known issues, but I'm pretty sure Scott put that in there so you don't spam the mask accidentally and get rid of Golden Freddy unintentionally. But it would be nice if there were a little bit more allowance for people to be super fast, because for a while when I was not taking my time with the mask, I was trying to get the flip done and all that. I would flip really quick and get out of there, but yeah, I would get jump scared by Golden Freddy much more than any other animatronic at that point. So you got to keep the mask on till it registers with Golden Freddy. It doesn't eat power, which is good, but it does limit your visibility as well as functionality to go back to the camera if you need to. And you shouldn't really have to go back to the cameras immediately. That's already risky. You're going to have to check a few things beforehand. But anyway, okay, so that's another thing. I think I mentioned the 0, 0 thing with Nightmarion. So if you have your mouse over here in the top left of your screen, just sitting at 0, 0, so X coordinate, Y coordinate, 0, 0, yeah, you will get a jump scare from Nightmarion as he burns in off of the edge of the screen. It's very odd, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just an image off the side of the screen that burns in like that. So we've gone through a whole lot already. Let's discuss making it even safer or more reliable, all right? And I have to get out of the kick of saving as much power as possible if I want to implement these strategies, because I got to go back to trying to get as high power as I possibly can. And really the way to do that is to go a Death Coin Marionette route. And that would be basically the no Death Coin route, but without having to deal with Music Box. And you would swap between Power Generator and nothing instead of Power Generator and Music Box. You have the option of tapping the Music Box right at the 15.0s and then, you know, turning that off really quickly, but that's optional. And then don't check on the 0.0s basically, and you won't have to worry about lefty either, okay? You just have to worry about Chica as well if you don't do that Music Box tap. But anyway, okay, so that's discussing the efficiency and like ultimate green run and that type of thing. But that would be the best way to save as much power as possible. Well, what if here I just wanted to make it more reliable and I have to worry about Orville and Ned? That's a weird frame too. I'm pretty sure this is still Ned. It's just this is supposed to be brown. It's just a weird static color overlay on this frame, I guess. But those two can attack you at about the 19-second mark if it's a really just disadvantageous run or whatnot. So let's do a prolonged timeline here. So we have 0.0 and we have a 15.0 and a 30.0, and I'm hoping you can see this. But you have those time markers right there, and if you have the potential like right here of having Orville or Ned, so Orville or Ned jump scare, well, if you're swapping to the Music Box anyway at around the 15 mark, so let's say it's right before in an ideal world, well, you could actually just do this. You do a 3 for heater, and that will send them back to either one of these sides. Then you could do a 4 to cool it down and undo the heater. And then you could push 5 for the Music Box. All right, then you run the Music Box all the way through beyond 30. So that's one way, is you could add an extra heater before the 15-second mark, and then you won't have to worry about Orville and Ned, unless the randoms are just so far against you that that doesn't affect them in that time period, which is still possible. But anyway, you do have to worry about the temperature, so that's why I say add in the power AC after the heater if you're going to do this. And early on, you're going to have more temperature issues than later on in the night if you're running the splits between Music Box and Power Generator / fan, okay? So, what else? So this would make it a little more reliable in that regard. If you really wanted to be really safe with those two animatronics as well, because your audio lure over here is going to take care of the other 3 animatronics unless you miss that juncture. I have not been jump scared by any of those past putting that here. It's always either Orville or Ned if it's one of the ducked animatronics. But anyway, they'll, you know, rush down over here and they won't care that the audio lure is here, especially not Orville. Orville's not affected by that. Ned is slightly, but not enough to prevent Ned from showing up sometimes very quickly. So you can, before a camera flip, run the heater, and that usually will give you about, you know, a good 19 seconds at least. It's the same type of principle. So anytime you use the heater and you hear a few thuds, yeah, you'll have 19 seconds or so where they'll have to recoup and, you know, try it again. And interestingly, if they respawn over here, which they can do after a heater, so Orville can spawn over here or Ned, either way. I think they flip after the second time you use the heater, I think. I don't know if it's completely random. I'd have to do a little more testing on that. But they can actually go down here a little bit faster. So let's say like 16 seconds or so. It gives you enough time for you to do the Bonnie flip and then the Foxy flip. And then you have to worry about the heater next time you do that. But again, I would use the power AC after using the heater unless you're really okay on temperature. If you really want to go risky, you can click on Me Bird. So there is a slight chance, but not a huge chance, that Rockstar Foxy at AI 20 will spawn Me Bird. It's about a 1 in 256 for all 4 Me Birds to show up on AI 20. It's really about a 1 in 4, so you have a 1 in 4 for an appearance. And then once the appearance shows up, it's a 1 in 3, just about, to have a friendly encounter with Me Bird. All right, flapping. Yeah, got that bird. So the appearance is about 1 in 4. The happy Me Bird, happy Rockstar Foxy is about 1 in 3 if there's an appearance there. So I wouldn't take this chance regularly unless you're really trying to squeak out an extra percentage or 2 of power. And man, it's a pain. It's a real pain. Like, you'll be like, well, I have to take a risk. If the temperature is really, really crazy high, maybe it's better just to click on Me Bird at that point. You can run power AC, but you have to watch out that you don't run out of global music box or music box energy either. All right, so you want to keep the music box wound, but the power AC, you can't run at the same time as the music box. You can run the fan at the same time as the music box, but sometimes the fan doesn't decrease the temperature fast enough for you to get out of a Jacko Chica jump scare, because Jacko Chica, when it's hot in the room, starts to build up the angry energy and then can jump scare you if it stays too hot. All right, so sometimes if you click on Rockstar Foxy and the temperature is crazy, you can click on the 60-degree, like, let's make it 60 degrees. After that point, if you want to get rid of Jacko Chica, you can close both the left and the right door, and then it'll kind of like go down, and then you'll be okay. All right, so then you're good. Oh man, that's not a reliable thing. That's just like an emergency. What if that happens? So I guess that goes in the last segment. But anyway, we have a little bit of overlap with that. But anyway, you can use the heater to be safe with those 2 animatronics. I usually flip fast enough that unless it's early in the night, like in this case, I got a few jump scares on the stream too with Orville and Ned. And it's because at this point, like, I was on the cameras just, trying to get coins. So you get that Faz coin. And yeah, I don't know, you take that risk. So that's about it. So early on, that can happen quite a bit, but once you're later on in the night, if you get past the death coin part, your flips are going to be so fast that usually you're not going to have a problem with any of those ducked animatronics. Because even if they're at the opening here, like, they can double back and just go this way, and they can go all the way back and be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go over here to the closed vent now. And while the likelihood might not be huge on that, it's still a possibility. So anyway, those are the duct safety strategies. If you really want to close doors a little bit differently and not have to worry about Freddy, one thing that you can do is you can, let's go back to the office. So let's get a frame with that. Here. So if you're in the office, we're at 15.0 right now. Let's say here, you want to close this right here. I guess I should probably do this here. Let's look at this screen. All right, you're going to close this door. If you really want to, you can. And then you're also going to have to close W also. So what you would do if you want to close these 2 and your sign is already over here, all right, then you're already on cam 2. Well, you can do AWS. And then wait, you can click ventilation reset here or whatever, and then SWA. All right. Always important, as mentioned before, line up your ventilation resets. Just find the spot on the screen where that lines up. And then when you're going to do a ventilation reset, you don't have to move the mouse and click on the ventilation reset. You just click. All right. So you're in the right spot at the right time. That's a big thing, is preparing in advance for things that you're going to have to do so that you don't have to spend extra cycles in the cameras. Basically playing the cameras are lava and getting out of there as fast as you can in most cases, all right? Not completely early in the night, but toward the end of the night, past that death coin part for sure. You want to stay out of the cameras as much as possible. Another thing, if you're in a scenario to where you're playing that the no death coin route, and you want to have Chica, or Rockstar Chica, I should say. Let's try that again. If you're on the no death coin route and you're trying to push Rockstar Chica over to this side, you're going to flip the sign over to the right side, the wet floor sign to the right side, and then you're going to do AWS SWA. Same thing, all right? So that will take care of not having to shut the door on Freddy. You don't want to open the left door before you flip the cameras back, though. So if you do AWS, you're going to get a jump scare, most likely, unless no one's there. But anyway, you want to be sure you know where Rockstar Chica is, and then do your closures accordingly. I mean, I guess you could, like the first time I beat 50/20 mode, I just kind of wanted it in the bank and get that done, but it was extremely tough with power because I was doing AWDS S DWA. All right, so I was like whoop whoop like it was so much, and that eats up power like crazy. But you don't need this, you don't need this if you take care of Freddy, and you definitely don't need this and this if you disconnect, reconnect. Oh, we're back. You don't need the right door if you have the cameras on cam 2 by that point. All right, so I just wanted to win in the books at that point, and then yeah, I dealt with getting the music later and then improving the power percentage from there. So small steps, building on each little thing, make progress, and then kind of build on that. But again, don't get too flustered. Just know that if you get to a certain point, just build on that, improve on that the next time, maybe the next session. You know, play it like 45-minute chunks. That's been huge for me. It's about the length of my attention span, so I don't start making silly mistakes on my own. I also don't get like burned out on it and don't want to play it the next day or whatever. So if you're really trying to practice up on this, I would recommend having a good mentality going into it, being patient, just working on getting rid of the silly mistakes, but also not getting flustered when you do make those mistakes. And then just see what you can build on and then improve upon, and then you're just going to get further and further. Then, hey, maybe you'll get 50/20 mode. I think it's very doable. It just takes a lot of skill buildup, and once you're there, it becomes easier and easier to replicate and not make silly mistakes. But, you know, every now and then some runs are not going to be winnable with certain strategies, but yeah, it's part of the game. All right. So anyway, that's a whole lot covered there, and yeah, let's call that a segment. Just wrapping up, I've covered a whole lot, so I hope I haven't made too many mistakes in here. I think one that I can think of right away is I said that I clicked on the Faz coins on the cameras when I meant to say mouse over and let the game register the coin pickups, so you got to kind of slowly mouse over the coins. That's one thing. Maybe I said I picked up a camera from the coin or something like that, but I don't know. I'm trying to cover so much in such an efficient time period, so I'm hoping that this will be helpful. If you're trying to beat 50/20 mode, it's a good gaming challenge to complete, but I'm hoping that this will be a good guide for that. Or if you're trying to up your power percentage on 50/20 mode, then this is also a good guide for efficiency, and a lot of the footage here shows a few good principles that you can take and use to improve your power as well. A lot of 50/20 mode is getting the skill up and the dexterity of mouse and knowing where your hands are in the keyboard and making good, wise decisions in the heat of the moment, as opposed to getting flustered and freaking out and, you know, shaking uncontrollably and all that. You get rid of the adrenaline after a while. You just have a calmness, go even keel into this, have the mentality that, hey, the skill and the silly mistakes on my part, I got to get rid of. Once that's done, I just have to have a little bit of good RNG on a few spots, not a whole lot, but I think I've minimized that quite a bit with these 2020 editions as well. But that was the main point, is getting rid of the RNG of the game as much as possible, but having to deal with whatever the game throws at you is what the game throws at you. But controlling whatever you can control and doing that the best you can, it sets you up pretty well for winning 50/20 mode. It's a good one to get, and yeah, I don't know. So anyway, this is a good video resource. I know I've helped a lot of people in the past win 50/20 mode with, you know, directly and indirectly with the, for example, the Ultimate Custom Night spreadsheet that I had for 50/20 mode. But this is a good video guide, and I know it's been a long time coming, but as you can tell by the length of the video here, it's a lot to discuss. So anyway, yeah, just thinking what else to say. 50/20 is tough, but it's not as random as Golden Freddy mode on Five Nights at Freddy's 2. You can win more frequently on 50/20 mode once your skill is there, and you just keep playing, add some more measures to make it extremely reliable. And I don't know, I mean, there were periods when I was practicing for that St. Jude charity stream, I was trying to win once a day. Some of those days I'd win first try, so I would finish the day before with a win, and then I'd come back the next day, first try, win. So and then like another day, yay, I won very quickly and stuff like that. So it can be to a degree replicable, but some runs with this strategy are not going to be winnable. I guess in the future I could cover the no death coin route, or maybe a death coin marionette route, or death coin. I mean, who else would make sense? Rockstar Bonnie wouldn't make sense, because then it would just turn into a death coin, no death coin run with Funtime Foxy still there. So anyway, this is the most replicable route, I would say, on the definite. If there's some way to glitch out having to do ventilation resets, then that would be a way to basically break the game, but then you wouldn't have to worry about death coining Funtime Foxy at all. You would have to worry about... No, that would be it. That would be, yeah, you put the camera on cam 6, then you would glitch it out somehow so that you reset ventilation. I'm thinking of the crowd control version of this game that we played on the St. Jude charity stream. That one had a ventilation reset option, which was one of the donation tiers or donation amounts, and that could be implemented in some way. I don't know if you flip fast enough and you prevent any sort of camera interaction or whatever, but that's not completely likely. You know, we're human, so unless it's a tool-assisted speedrun or something like that, maybe you could figure something like that out. But anyway, it's been a fun game. There have been a lot of animatronics to interact with and counter, and piecing all those together and the interactions and the possible actions that the player can take has been pretty fun for me. So I've enjoyed putting stuff like this together and then tweaking things and optimizing things and testing little things out, like, oh, well, is this how this works, and that type of thing. So it's basically black box testing. We don't have the access to the event editor because it's Click Team. Basically, it's compiled up and then it turns into an executable and we have the game to play. But everything is ones and zeros, and it was programmed with a purpose. So anyway, figuring out that purpose has been pretty fun, even not having the source code there to tell whether this is exactly 100% right or not. So I'm hoping it's close. It's definitely been good enough to get me through 5020 a ton at this point, and hopefully more in the future. Who knows? Maybe one day I will juggle and play 5020 mode. Maybe that's not as far away as you think. Anyway, everyone who's benefited from my strategy spreadsheet and tips and this video or whatever, who's given me a shout out, thank you for that, and I'm glad that I could help. And yeah, it's been cool. So helping people out is one thing that I wanted to do with this, and I hope that this does the same thing. All right, the end. I'm hoping that this is not like 4 hours long, but it's gonna be crazy long. Oh my goodness. All right, peace. God bless you. Have a great day. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, all that. I'll try to do more guides and that type of thing. I've done a bunch before, but anyway, this was the most exhaustive by far. All right, peace.
1 million combo.
Sterf is incredible. Have you ever watched any of his speedrun on FNaF? It is googling as well. Oh, there we go. There's the dance. The only one hit there so far. I mean, what word do you need then, DJ Sterf dancing and
Oh, you were in Cam 6.
Wait, so all right, here's Scott. All right, hey, Scott. Hey, listen. Excellent game programmer, Scott. If it flips upside down, then I expect the control to...
He's just happy you got money, I guess. And look in the middle there, testing by DJ Sterf. Oh, snap. That's pretty cool.